Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. This is the podcast where we discuss albums track by track. I am your host, Jeremy Gloff. I'm a musician myself, and I'm broadcasting from Tampa, Florida. Thanks to all my Patreon subscribers and to those that subscribe to the YouTube channel. I appreciate all the people that follow this podcast. This is a loose podcast. We don't do quick edits. We just let it roll and have a conversation, just like it's a bunch of friends sitting around a table. Not to be a bitch.
It is a bunch of friends sitting around the virtual table.
It is a bunch of friends. And honestly, I just don't have time to go back and edit this shit. So it is what it is. But anyway, is there nobody's here for the first time, correct? All right. Well, tonight we have moved on to, is this the sixth Eurythmics album?
Yes.
The sixth album. We are here tonight to discuss Revenge from 1986. And, I was driving this afternoon and thinking about how in 1986, all of our favorites had just cleaned up their look. Think of all of our favorites and how they look from 1984 to 86. Think of Madonna, Like a Virgin, 84 to 86, True Blue Madonna. Prince, Purple Rain, then Under the Cherry Moon. Culture Club, who did From Luxury to Heartache, they cleaned up their look. And the Eurythmics also looked much different in 86 than they did in 84. So, looking at Wikipedia, I did not realize this, but True Blue from Madonna and Revenge were released on the same day, June 30th. So, did anybody go to the record store and buy those two albums brand new off the shelf?
Oh. Yes.
You did?
One.
I remember the
Not two of them. One of them.
All right. Well, I do remember that was the day of radio, and I remember for some reason Eurythmics singles, I always heard them on the radio first, and I just knew by the voice it was Annie Lennox. I'm like, this must be a new Eurythmics song. And I heard something called Missionary Man. I'm like, this sure sounds like a new Eurythmics song, and certainly it was, and that began the Revenge era. So, is there anybody who was a fan back then that wants to talk about their experience leading into this era?
I will.
All right, we'll go John and then Lynn.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's odd because I was kind of disappointed by this album initially, and it had more to do with the first single, which to the UK and Europe, and it was When Tomorrow Comes. And even though I think I had the most activity around this album in terms of just collecting and traveling to see the tour and camping out for tickets and all that kind of stuff, but yet I was kind of frustrated and a little disappointed with parts of the album, mainly because I thought they were too commercial, for my personal taste. But as I've listened to it more recently, I've gained a different appreciation for it. I still have a little cringe at a few songs, but I appreciate what they did, and it really did I think this one kind of catapulted them into, it was sort of the peak of their, it was the biggest tour. But yeah, it's an interesting, it was kind of a defining era, and I think part of my kind of hate for it, love, dislike for it, but they. And the things that kind of kept me hanging on through that album was that they made a lot of references to their past in a lot of the albums. There was almost this sort of treasure hunt mystery kind of relation to, lyrically, and even from an image perspective, they used a lot of references to their previous albums, and including personnel on the album and the recording as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember, and I feel like I don't ever want to say anything negative about this album, but I just felt like when it came out, they weren't as cool anymore. I hate to say it, but I was 11 years old. I was like a gay kid that didn't realize I was gay yet, but they were very like kind of going for rock, kind of mainstream rock, and I was into like the edgy synth pop, and they just didn't seem as cool to me anymore. And the album just didn't have that quirkiness that I loved about. Even Be Yourself Tonight had like Ball and Chain with the gravel stompers. So this album just seemed to be kind of devoid of that weirdness that I loved in the Eurythmics albums.
I think Eurythmics suffer from sometimes being so good that when, like, the sequencing of some of their albums, where it's like, well, how do you fall in love as a stranger? Like, no song is going to sound good next to that. And so it's not, this next song isn't necessarily bad. It's just that this thing preceding it was so good that it's really hard to follow up.
Yeah.
And I think this record kind of suffers from, it's not really bad, but it's also like, it's not Love as a Stranger. It's not Be Yourself Tonight.
Right. All right. Well, Lynn, you're next. What was your story?
So I lived in LA. I lived in LA at this point, and I remember when it got released, I was waiting for it and went to Tower Records on Sunset where they had that big poster and all that to buy it. And I bought it the day it came out. And like I do with most of the albums, I would drive Mulholland Drive and listening. Very iconic LA thing. And maybe I'm more middle of the road than some of you guys, but I really liked it. I'm not that middle of the road because I like alternative music, but I liked the album. Their songs, I listened to it a lot, and it evokes a period of time to me. And also, I had seen the concert in Reseda, the country club one, so I already knew some of the music. So I liked it. It was good. I liked it.
All right. Anyone else want to jump in with some memories?
I just remember a friend of my best friend at the time, and he was working at a local pizza place, and they always had music videos playing. And I think I knew the album was coming out. We didn't have the internet or anything, so you
How did we know? But we knew.
Well, and I think I knew something was coming out, but I didn't know anything about the music. And apparently MTV had debuted the video, and he called me up, and he just saw the last of it, where her head is kind of doing, back and forth. And he said, and was telling me about it and what she looked like. And it was, I remember that so distinctly because it was, those kind of things were so important at the time, and that you got so excited about it. But Jeremy, I've got to ask you, how is it that you could look at Annie Lennox in that black leather catsuit and not think she was still a little weird? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the song itself was weird, but like, we'll go into the album. I did love the kids.
The video was great.
That was a great video.
It was an amazing video, and it was an iconic song to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they played it it's one of my favorite memories of the songs. Mark I hope will agree, is when I dragged Mark down the aisle so we could sing up at the stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Wasn't it during this?
Well, I think we went down during What a Lie to You, but we really got into it during Missionary Man, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or did we go down? Did we go down immediately, or was it?
I thought we went to the front. Yeah.
And we were encouraged by some Duran Duran fans in front of us, right? Like, go down.
Yeah. But it was great. It was, yeah.
Well, probably one of the great scenes from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in that song where Annie pulls the money out of her pockets and throws it up in the air, at a mountain of money at the. I think that's just such a great scene in that concert.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's I'm trying to go back to my 11-year-old self and try to like support my statement, but even like at 11, like a person in like a leather outfit felt more like Lita Ford to me than like cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
Looking back though, it is kind of like bondagey. I'm like, okay, that's fucking cool. I do love this album, and there's the songs I like more than other, but it'll be interesting to talk about it. And of course we poor Nick. We're always like, so what do you think? Because you know he's coming into this hearing them for the first time. Did you even know Missionary Man? It was a big hit. Did you know that song?
Yeah, I knew the first two songs from the album just
Okay.
through compilations and hearing a few on the radio here and there because they still play them every once in a while.
We're gonna suck your young blood. Well, all right. Any other memories about Revenge? The lead up.
I just want to piggyback on Lynn. This is one of my top 5 albums from the Eurythmics.
Yeah.
One being 1984, number 2 being In the Garden, and then 3 is Revenge, and then Touch, and then followed by Be Yourself Tonight. And I can remember showing that video to a very good friend of mine, and her reaction was, "Oh, it's so evil. That video is so evil." I guess because of the leather and the darkness and the way that the editing was done with her head, which, that was kind of, that was kind of, and that was kind of groundbreaking at the time. It's kind of like, when they did the whole quad speaker surround sound thing with Love You Like Ball and Chain, the editing for Missionary Man was something that had not been done before, I don't believe. With music videos. So, once again, Eurythmics are doing some groundbreaking craft there. And, but yeah, this is one of the Eurythmics albums I put on religiously. I love it. Just love it.
I think that's a really good point, though, that you made, that it was, if we talk about things that are controversial in Eurythmics' career, you can talk about Love is a Stranger and MTV, oh, we don't know about this video, and of course 1984. But Missionary Man was a little controversial. If I understand it correctly, back in the day, there were some radio stations who wouldn't play it in some areas of the country because they thought it was religious overtones, and it's interesting that your friend had that reaction to the video. That's fascinating. I know what they were going for, and I think I even understood that at the time, being, again, a kid. But that's very interesting. They pushed a lot of boundaries, and even when you weren't expecting it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I did just get a notification about somebody in my waiting room. It's a Tommy's iPhone. Do we know who that is?
I don't know, but.
All right. So, any other thoughts on the era leading into the Revenge era? John, you have some. Go ahead, Lynn.
At one point, I'd never seen a man wearing earrings on both sides till this cover.
That was controversial in 1986.
Hardly, but I thought it was really cool.
Well, John, do you want to show your collectibles?
Yeah, I've just got a few things.
Mike, we miss you. In case you're watching.
The tour guide from I'm guessing this was for the U.S. tour because, I think the fan club address in it is for the L.A. fan club, which is the U.S. chapter. I've got 2 pins. One was that you could buy at the show, which I think was this one.
Okay.
Yes.
And then this one was sent out by the fan club.
Hell yeah.
Which is
Oh,
kind of like, it's enamel, where obviously the commercial one that you could buy at the show, I think, is cooler than the one from the from the fan club. Just because this, it's dangly and stuff.
I mean, the exact, that's, except the replica of what Dave's wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
When I bought that at the concert, I didn't know it at the time, the little heart was broken off.
Wow.
A fellow fan from L.A. Who since passed away, she found it in a collectible shop for me, intact. It's one of my most favorite things I own. I just adore that pin.
And then I don't even know where I got this, but it's a square pin of the album cover. I'm not sure where it came from.
I think it came from the concert.
It may have, either the concert. And I had it. I know I bought at least one T-shirt from that show, but I don't think I have it anymore. It was that was the time when they were making oversized. You know, when like the mid '80s, late '80s, like oversized shirts, baggy shirts. So I think it was I think it was. I can't remember honestly, and I don't know if I have it. This one I had made. There was a guy in Russia
Yeah,
that,
I've got
that
that.
does these. I
Yeah.
have the Sweet Dreams album cover too.
I've got
Ooh,
one
you
that
should post the link for that.
I will. I'll find it. He does it by email and by chat. And the only two that he has that I'm aware of is In the Garden. Or no, I'm sorry. Sweet Dreams and this cover. A lot of his stuff is like more rock and like metal oriented, but oddly enough, I mean, this is like over 10 years ago. I got this. He sent an email like just the last few days and like kind of promoting his stuff again. So I can drop a link later in our
chat. That'd be
Facebook
great.
chat. Yeah.
I also have a shirts from him from Savage and Peace.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but he is kind of, so you never know when he's going to show up, but the shirts are really nice.
Yeah, they're well made. They're like, I mean, you can get stuff made on places like Redbubble. I had the Never Gonna Cry Again cover done into a t-shirt.
Oh, cool.
Mark, I like that picture behind you too. That's a great one.
Yeah, there's one of my Subway posters.
Well, speaking of pictures, how do you guys feel about this album cover? Was this a painting of an actual photograph? It was, right?
Yes, Gerald Mankiewicz, I believe, did the actual photo.
I loved this cover so much when it came out. And to get back to the reflections, I was 10 when this came out, and once again, it was just, I mean, I didn't understand like people like were always trying to like define people's careers and stuff, and I just thought it was so cool that like they were just continuing to create great music.
Oh, you have the tour book.
That's cool.
So
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
John.
And that's the full on image, which I think they made some posters of it too. But I think the original painting is now in the church, if they still have it, or if they still have the church studios.
Oh, they don't. Yeah.
Because when Eric and Lori, they went on that trip. They won a trip to meet Dave at the church, and I think they took a photo of this painting in the church.
Is this the first time we get Dave full on a front album cover?
I believe so. Yes. Well,
In the Garden, he's kind of on it.
Right.
Featured. I would definitely think that this is the first time he's featured.
I mean, it's putting them right front and center as a band. I feel like, they're going for more of a live band sound with the album. So I think the cover, having them right there is
So
very smart.
Yes, I think it was because I'm a big Dave fan. So I was like, yes, he's on the cover.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like this album, Dave does step out. He sings on the album a lot. He's right there on the cover. I remember when the album came out, I didn't love Dave singing, but when I listened to it today, I'm like, I love Dave singing. So taste changed with age. Do you guys remember? Didn't the original album have the letters elevated, the Eurythmics? Because I remember running my fingers over the letters.
It is, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, embossed.
Yes.
One cool thing, actually, if I'm not mistaken, this photo of Annie in the book is from when they were in Japan.
I think that's Switzerland. Oh, I thought it was Switzerland.
Oh, maybe. But there's a little known documentary that isn't really easy to find, but I think I have a copy on VHS. There was a film put out later, like around the time of Savage, called Brand New Day, which is by a Israeli filmmaker named Amos Gittai. And Annie worked with him around the same time as Savage, and she's in a film that he made called The Golem, and he did the film called Brand New Day, which a lot of it takes place during the Revenge tour in Japan. And by the time you see them on tour, they're already recording Savage, because you hear there's a scene where Dave is with Ryuichi Sakamoto at one of either at the hotel or backstage of the show, and he's playing him snippets of what would eventually become Savage.
And was the song "Brand New Day" from Savage from the movie?
Yeah, I mean it does reference,
Okay.
but a lot of footage is from the Revenge tour in Japan.
That did get released. There were advantages to living in LA.
Yeah,
Because it did get released for like 2 nights in West LA rather.
yeah. As
So
far as I
think
know,
Brand New Day on the big screen.
as far as I know, the only way to get it commercially was in a box set of all of Amos Jatai's movies, and it's kind of expensive. But I believe some fans have made, and it might even be on YouTube. I'm not sure.
I think you can see it on YouTube in maybe 4 or 5 sections.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful film. I mean, there's scenes where Annie goes to, they're visiting a temple and like a graveyard.
There are great concert scenes in it too.
Yeah.
Better Sweet Dreams.
Revenge was like a 1.5-year tour, wasn't it? It was a long tour. Oh gosh, that's great.
That's Gerald. If I'm holding it up, if you can see it.
Wow.
Gerald Mankiewicz photo.
Oh, wow.
That's gorgeous.
Gerald was very unhappy when that happened. He did not like his photo being turned into a painting. He never worked with them again. And he worked with them from 1982 on. But anyone have this? This is the Miracle of Trust. This is
the Princess Trust concert.
Princess Trust version of the Revenge Tour program. It turns into the original inside, but then it's from the Miracle of Trust. And if you can find pictures online, and they presented miniature leather jackets to the princes.
Yes.
Yeah. And one other collectible, if you want to see it, the jigsaw puzzle.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have mine, but it came shrink wrapped on the cardboard.
And I put it in a frame. And
wow.
I posted it once online, and Dave took it and put it on one of his Instagram or something. Those are the kind of things they probably didn't even know existed back in the day.
Wow.
And is that photo from the same photo session as the album cover?
I would think so, just because it's that photo. Then that's the
UK 12-inch cover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, that painting is so realistic. It almost looks like a photo. You know what I mean? So
I actually just Googled the full thing, which I didn't know that was a thing, and it's really cool. Never seen that before, so thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Sweet Dreams insert, where Sweet Dreams Touch, I'm sorry, where it's this collage kind of referencing their past 2 albums, whereas this maze, the maze that's on the Revenge painting has all these little, I mean, they're all tidbits and clues and references to Touch and even In the Garden.
cool. And did anyone show their the little live EP?
Oh yeah,
off at the Roxy. So there's 4 songs in the album live version. So that's a nice little addendum to the era. If you want to pick that up.
That was so hard to get back in the day and expensive.
Yeah.
Once eBay came along and stuff, and sort of things kind of crashed for a little while, you could get it fairly inexpensively. But back in the day, and there's a 12-inch of that as well.
Yeah.
That was, John knows. I mean, that was hard to get, or it was expensive. If you got it, you paid for it.
Right.
Especially
And expensive was what, $50? No, it was
25 to 50.
Yeah.
I got it because I had started my my writing and calling campaign to RCA, and their local rep in Atlanta, she would send me press kits and stuff, and so she sent me that CD, and I was so excited because it was shrink wrapped. It didn't come in a long box; it was just shrink wrapped, and I didn't have a CD player yet, and then it was like that was my impetus to like save up some money and get my first CD player.
All
Like, I can't.
right. Well, shall we go into the track by track discussion? Any other things that anybody wants to say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well,
Can you check to see if anyone's logging in?
yeah, I don't see anybody right now.
Okay, keep looking. It's going to be any minute.
Okay. All right.
But you can go on. Let's talk about Missionary Man.
All right. The first single, Missionary Man. So let's go to Nick. What do you think of this song? Having heard the Eurythmics discography up to this point, and then there's this song.
Yeah, it's probably one of my least favorite hits of theirs. I remember it being pretty garish, but upon another listen, I warmed up to it very slightly. The harmonica playing is a little excessive. It's probably inferior to There Must Be an Angel. I prefer Stevie Wonder's playing in comparison to what we got here.
All right. Any other thoughts?
That should cover it for now, but I might provide further feedback and commentary later.
Okay.
When
I think it's a great single, and I think it's a great song, and I think like it redeemed the album for me because I think I heard When Tomorrow Comes first because they issued it in Europe first as the first single. Missionary Man wasn't. It was the fourth single in Europe, so it was kind of like almost like a weird afterthought. Where it was the first single in the U.S.
Right.
And, I mean, for me, it was like, one of the first songs that they've done where I mean, obviously it's personal for Annie and for Dave, but it was thematically and like their lyrics and content was definitely more of a social commentary to me than like many of their other songs are about personal heartache and, heartbreak and melancholy and stuff. And this was to me like, somebody saying what many people are thinking
Right.
in terms of religion and the church and things like that. So plus it's just a kick-ass song.
I did feel with the last album they were going towards a rock song, but this is very like American swampy bluesy rock. Like it kind of even going further, and I did love it when it came out. I still love the song. Jeffrey, I saw your hand up.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that every one of the records up to this point had a song that I couldn't stop listening to over and over again. And this was that song for me from this record. It was like the first time I heard it, I was like, God, how do they just keep coming up with these great songs? Like it's mind blowing, and just absolutely loved it. And it's a song that I kind of made myself sick of it because I listened to it so much. But I listened to the album again today and was just like, God damn, what a great fucking song.
It's perfect. Lynn.
So I love this song. It's iconic. It's a stellar video. I like the harmonica play. I mean, it's just it starts off and you're like, well, this is going to be a down and dirty rock song, and I love that about it. So I love the song.
Yeah, Mark.
Well, I mean, it is their foray, without any doubt, into blues, which that is Dave's. Early on in his life, he was exposed to, the blues, American blues. And so, but there's a great interview with Annie from Much Music in Canada that I had on video forever, and I cannot find it. And because I can't watch any of those VHS tapes now. A few years ago, I was transferring a lot to YouTube. I didn't do that one. But she talks about, and I've never seen this quote anywhere else, but she's, live video interview. And she wrote Missionary Man for Bob Dylan, with Bob Dylan in mind, as she said. And she she said, and I showed it to him rather reluctantly, and he said he liked it. Bob Dylan said he liked the lyrics to Missionary Man, and she said, but Dave said he didn't like them, and she said I don't know, a little while later, days, weeks, I don't know what it was, that Dave came back and said, the words to Missionary Man are really good. And I think we should use them. And she said, what? You told me you didn't like them. And he said, no, I don't think we should use them for Bob. I think we should use them for us.
Oh.
Is that dinner, hanging around in Dave's kitchen that Bob Dylan was at and Annie just shows up?
It may have been that. She
Yeah.
didn't say, but that would make total sense. But
yeah. She probably lived upstairs or something.
Yeah, but isn't that just a great story about that? Especially, Dave's got a Bob Dylan album coming out in a month or so.
Yeah, he sure does.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I kind of wonder why. It makes me, hearing that story now makes me kind of wonder if Annie was thinking about. Because Bob Dylan, there was kind of like, almost like a running joke throughout his career of him, like, changing religions because, he's Jewish, and then all of a sudden he became Buddhist and he became Christian. And, I'm kind of wondering if that was her thinking in that, writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
Wasn't it post, Revenge was after her marriage to Radha.
Right.
Yeah. That also I kind of thought might be one of the impetuses for.
Well, and she does say, it doesn't have to be considered religion in one sense, that it can, the lyrics can be taken that don't believe everything you're told that you have to believe. And so I think it's like all things, it's kind of multifaceted, but it seemed very religious to a lot of people. The video is Dave creating life. It's a great video. It was an amazing video. When you go back and you think about these videos that we saw during that era, and they were just amazing. This was one of them. Yeah, and
Mark.
Yeah.
We do have someone in the waiting room. Do you want to do an introduction?
I do. Are they there?
Yeah, I'll admit them after your introduction.
Okay, can they hear me though?
No, here we go.
Okay, you want to let them in?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, we've got someone who's joined us for this podcast. Lynn Foster had this idea, and she said, hey, there's a big fan that's never been on this podcast, and we would love to have him on the podcast. So, I sent him a message, and we've got to meet him a few times. And I don't know, Jimmy, do you want to say anything? Or I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, sorry about the apologies for the delay, everyone, folks. I had forgotten about the time, and then I was fairly useless on getting onto Zoom, but I found a harmonica, so maybe I can make up for it.
Wow.
So we have Jimmy Z here, who played the harmonica part on Missionary Man on our podcast.
Yes. Wow.
And you know what? I'm not lying. I think this is the actual harmonica I played on the record. It's in my bag, and I know it. I made a deal when I was with Rod Stewart. I went my first tour in Japan in 1981. I tagged along in Tokyo to the guitar players to a music store and the promoters, and they were getting all these guitars for free from Aria Guitars, and I'm kind of like watching the whole thing, and I'm going, man, I want something for free too. And then I saw these harmonicas in a display case. And long story short, I through the interpreter, I got the president of the company, who was like an 80-year-old man, and his son, who was like 40, 50 years old. They came to my hotel room. I made this deal that in perpetuity that I would get harmonicas for free my whole life. And then they became Lee Oscar. They're called Major Boy by Tombo. And they're still made by Tombo, but then Lee Oscar, who is the famous harmonica player with War. Like, remember this? Anyway, he calls me a couple years later in like 1982 or 3, and he says, "Hey, I'm Lee Oscar." I'm going, "Wow, man, you're one of my heroes, you know." And he goes, "Yeah, well, now I'm like made a deal with Tombo, and they're going to be called Lee Oscar Harmonicas by Tombo." I said, "Man, great, congratulations." He goes, "Well, I'm looking at your contract, and I don't think I like it." And I'm on the phone. I'm thinking, "Well, I kind of like it." We got off on the wrong foot, but another long story short, we're the best of friends now. He's taking care of me and still does for 40 years. And we just saw each other at this thing called the NAMM show in Los Angeles. It's a big music convention every year. And we played that song, Lowrider, together. And anyway, I won't bore you folks. How you doing? Thanks for your patience and everything. Shall I play a little song
Well,
for you?
it's good to hear you, Jimmy. We don't
Yeah.
see you.
Now, Jimmy, everyone at the panel didn't know you were coming here. We had one person that doesn't like harmonica, but 7 of us do. So,
Jimmy,
Oh man, there must be a music lover.
yeah.
Jimmy, can you turn on your camera? Can we see you?
Oh man, I'm sorry, you don't see me?
No,
Man, forgive me for my bad.
that's okay. We wanted it to be a surprise
Okay,
anyway. We want to see.
where do I do that?
Uh,
Zoom workplace. Let's see.
up in the upper part of the
The left.
yeah,
Okay.
you could probably see a little camera, and
Is
it'll have a slash through it. You want to click on that? I
under
think
the
is that what it
Zoom
is?
thing.
Yeah.
It'll
I
be on
want
the
to.
footer.
Or down wait, up at the top.
Yeah. There's
Wait, I'm
the
trying
Apple.
to
I'm on
see
an Apple. It
everybody.
says Zoom workplace. Let me.
We have a special motherfucking guest here on Phonogenics 101. Now, as we said, I don't even know what to say because I've heard this fucking harmonica solo my whole life, and then I cried in my bedroom as a young gay teenager, wishing that I had the leather outfit myself.
Oh,
Fucking-
that's Annie's leather.
Yeah, that's Annie's leather.
Hopefully, Annie's not Dave's. Maybe Dave's.
Yeah, it might be Dave's. But we have Jimmy Z here from the original recording of Missionary Mary. Jimmy, thank you so much for joining our podcast. What a nice surprise.
Oh man, it's so nice to be here finally.
Would you be willing to tell the story of how you ended up on this fucking song?
Okay, I'll try to make it short. I met Dave. I was playing with Tom Petty and the Pack Up the Plantation tour in 1985. Dave and Tom had written a song called "Don't Come Around Here No More," and I think Dave produced it too. So I ended up putting a horn section together, the solo horns for Tom, and we just come off a tour with Rod Stewart, and we're on tour with Tom, and Tom, he came up to me one day and he says, "Hey, this crazy motherfucker Dave Stewart's coming. You're gonna like him because you're crazy and he's crazy." And I was going, I don't know if I like that. But anyway, he said, "You guys are gonna hit it off," and he was right. You know, we even though he's from the north of England or whatever, and I'm a Sacramento, California boy, we hit it off. You know, with sense of humor and music and all that. So. Then after that tour was over, Dave was producing different, pretty big artists in LA. Am I in the dark? Do you need more light on me?
No, you're good.
No, you're perfect.
Okay,
You
so
are
anyway,
perfect. You're
so
perfect,
like
Jimmy.
Dave would for like Stevie Nicks and other, you know, Fergal Sharkey, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but anyway, and thank you, Fergal. I still get a lot of royalties for that, but like. So we did that for 6, 8, 9 months, and then I didn't see him for a while. And then at the time I was living in West Hollywood, I remember sitting around the swimming pool at my apartment and going, "Man, I got to get a gig. I'm running out of money." And the phone rang, and I was around the pool, and I could hear it ringing, but I didn't go up and answer. I said, I should go up, and then it clicked off. So I hit the button to listen to the message, and I'll try and do Dave's accent. I'm not really good at it, but he goes, "Hello, Jimmy. This is Dave Stewart. I'm in my flat in Paris with Annie, and we were wondering if you could come over to Paris and blow wind down bits of metal. And I'm listening to this, and he goes, give us a call back. My number. Oh, I don't have a number. I'll call you back. I'm going, damn. And then I didn't hear from him for about 3 weeks. I'm going, damn. So, but then he did call, and it's 1986. And they had me and and may he rest in peace, the famous great bass player, Phil Chen. He played with Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart, Do You Think I'm Sexy? For many years, great bass player, great guy. And so me and Phil, we flew to Paris. And we finally get to Paris from flying from LA. We had to stop in London. And they, real quick, we get off that's been the days, it's pre 9/11. You could go off when you had a layover, and we're trying to get back on the plane, and they pull us aside. We're sitting in a little room in our underwear, I swear to God, and they're going, where are the drugs? And we're like looking at each other. Because Phil was a little like guy, Chinese, but grew up in Jamaica, so he's got a Jamaican accent. And I got hair out to here, and like a Colombo, stupid trench coat. Anyway, we said, look, we're just trying to get to Paris to play some music, and they let us go. And we make the flight, and we get to Paris, and no one's there to pick us up. 4 hours we waited. And finally this idiot shows up, and that's a whole nother story I'll tell you about another time, but we go, oh, great. And I had like a shopping cart, trolley with a bunch of saxophones, harmonicas, flutes, and all kinds of stuff. And I started walking. I said, oh, you're late. and I start walking, and he goes, oi, I don't do equipment. So I walk back to my trolley. I go, that's strike 2. I don't think it made any sense to a British guy. But anyway, so we're on the car driving from the airport, Charles de Gaulle in Paris into town, and he goes, you want to go to your hotel? And it's 5 PM. He goes, you want to go to your hotel or the studio? And I look at Phil and we go, let's go to the studio. And as we're driving, I'm thinking, yeah, Eurythmics, I wonder what this is going to be like. Techno pop. That's about it. I thought. We get to the studio, it is a party. It's Palais de Congrès, one of the most famous studios off the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. They got like tequila going. There's about 10, 15 people in that control room. They're drinking tequila, drinking these little cans of Heineken. They got a bunch of hash going and other things smoking up. And they got this song they're working on, and it sounds like AC/DC. And I'm thinking, yeah, Eurythmics. And I meet Annie, and I sit down, and they go, Phil, go put some bass on this track. So Phil goes out there, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I got to admit, I'm having a beer, and I'm smoking a little bit, and I'm getting a little buzz, and Phil puts on a bass part to this song, and Annie was at the other end of the couch, and we're listening to Phil, and Annie pops up, and she goes, and I can't do her Scottish accent, but I'll just try. She goes, all right, Jimmy Z, let's see what you got. So I get up and I go, okay. And she goes, oh, no, mate. You're tired. You're jet lagged. Kind of like sarcastic. And I went, no, put it up. She goes, oh. And I went, oh. I'm going, uh-oh, I just got into it with Annie Lennox. The first thing I do, And I get the guy, the French, guys in the studio. I said, man, I need an amp. I got to get this. So I get an amp. I get a sound real quick. And they roll the song. And I figure, okay, this is an intro. And it gets to a part where I think, I've never really heard it other than what Phil did. And I think, well, I think this could be a solo. I'll do a solo. And they hadn't edited the song. So it went a while, not long, but 3 or 4 minutes. It kept going. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to stop and have him punch me in because I was getting real cotton mouth for obvious reasons. So I powered through it and I finished the song. And it's like there's silence, and I'm looking towards this control room with all these light, people in it. And if you're a session musician, that's one thing you don't want to happen, just silence. Usually they go, oh, that was great. play a little more here, a little less here. We'll do another take. It's just nothing. And then the second thing that you really don't want to hear is Dave presses the talk back and he goes, "Come on in." And it's like going, "Oh, I'm going, great." The first thing I do with Eurythmics, they don't dig it. Because when you come on in means like, you're done, it ain't working kind of thing. So I do that walk back, and I had to walk through these doors, and then there's a door to the control room, and it was a step up. And I open the door, and the first person I see looking up is Annie Lennox looking at me, and I looked at her, I go, "No good, huh?" And she goes, "Fucking brilliant, mate." I went, "Phew." And that song was Missionary Man. That was the first thing I ever played for him. So I go and I listen to it, and everyone's going, "Oh, it's great." And I go, "Hey, Dave, cool. Now I know the song. I'll go out and do it. I'll do it right now." And he goes, "Oh, you're done, mate." I'm like, I go, "Yeah, right." And he goes, I said, "Come on, man. I'll just go out and play it again." He goes, "No, you're done." He wouldn't let me play it again. So what you hear was what I did the first take, which I thought was useless.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
And I think this is a solo. Something like that.
Damn. I think I just peed a little.
Jimmy, that brought a tear to my eye. Oh,
Here's my
because
one.
the world fucking sucks, but like this music is what gets us through the. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like fuck this world. Fuck yeah to the Missionary Man.
Man, I hope I didn't play so bad that it made you cry.
Oh
No.
Hey Jimmy, I moved from Atlanta to Sacramento with Tower to go to their headquarters. Ended up in
Tower?
Berkeley.
Oh,
Yeah, Tower Records.
Man,
And ended
I
up
grew
in
I
Berkeley.
grew up in Sacramento, right?
Yeah, I know. And then I ended up working in Berkeley, and I met a guy. I worked at Rasputin's, and there's a guy that used to hang out there who said he was either your cousin or your brother.
Probably could have been my brother.
Maybe. Yeah. Did he ever live in Berkeley?
Yeah, my brother was a crazy guy, man. I wouldn't be playing harp or sax without my brother. He was 6 years older, but go on, man.
No, I just remember him mentioning you one day, that he was, relatives of some kind with Jimmy Z, and I was like, wow, because I'm a huge Eurythmics fan, obviously.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I'm a
I have no
North Bay
idea who that
person,
was,
too.
man. But if it was my brother, he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
well, Jimmy, we are doing a track by track discussion of the album. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to dip out anytime you want. We'd love to have you.
Hey, can I play a real song for you or something I make up right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
We would love that.
Sure. perfect, but that's all I got.
Jimmy, it's quite
Brilliant.
It's
Amazing.
quite
Okay, so
Jimmy-
what do you want me to do? Anybody want to ask more questions with your guests? I'll hang out, whatever, if you want.
Yeah, just stick around. We're gonna just go track by track on the album. So, are you familiar?
Yeah.
You play on a lot of the album.
Yeah,
I have
played
to
a few
say, if
more
I
things.
thought 40 years
Go ahead, I'm
ago
sorry.
you would, oh, sorry. If I would be sitting here and hearing you play live, I wouldn't believe it, but it actually fills my heart a lot. And I'm 2 years younger than you. Woohoo! 70.
Everyone's younger than me.
No. Well, yeah, except me.
Am I younger than you?
I'm
Oh,
the
you're
oldest
younger.
here.
You look way younger than me.
56 baby here, baby.
Yeah, girl.
Woohoo!
You know what? Since February 7th, now you're 14 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Wait, are you February 7th?
Yeah.
That's my birthday.
Get out of here.
No.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, brother. Yeah, I
Cool.
just turned the big 7-0.
Whoa.
And I think Annie and me, we're the same age. I think Christmas is her birthday.
Yeah.
Aw.
And yeah, we were always down like in Australia. I remember we got to Australia. Sorry, I'm taking up other people's time, but real quick.
No.
We got to Australia in '87, and we get there and we're like in the van. We used to call it celebrity van, you know, because usually Annie and Dave would be in a limo and the band would be in a van. But we were all together, right? And they handed out our itinerary, this books, because we're going to be in Australia for 4 or 5 weeks, and then New Zealand for 10 days, 2 weeks. And we're like going through it, and you know, down under, they're backwards. Their summer is like in our winter, right? And we get to February 2nd, and it says, and we were off that day. It says Jimmy Z's birthday. We're going out. They got in Sydney Harbor. They got this like this party boat, like 3 decks of like a houseboat, and it's a big party for Jimmy Z. And Annie and David look at me going, "What the fuck?" I'm going, "I don't know, man." It turns out I'd been there with Rod Stewart a couple times in Australia on tour, and I guess they remembered my birthday.
Aw.
So I'll send you guys some photos. I think they're on my website, ztribe.com. And like Annie's cutting the cake, and she's in a bikini, and I'm sitting there, and we're sitting next to her. It was just a funny moment. They're like going, "Really? We're Eurythmics." That's it, man. It's just a funny moment that I'll look at me like, "What the fuck? How do you fucking rate?" So what do I do? Do I just hang on? If anyone wants to ask a question, you could shoot them to me.
Yeah.
Just if you hang on, and if there's a song, we're going to talk about all the songs.
Yeah. I played
something
on
that
not
you-
every song, but I played on a few of them.
Yeah, just
The Thorn in My Side is next, so that
Right.
you played
I
on
think
that.
I played on that. Yeah, for sure.
So let's
And
finish.
Annie produced me on that a lot more than
Oh.
Dave. I mean, Dave was like, they were like really neck and neck and everything, but Dave was the producer. But Annie, I don't know if y'all know, Annie could play like, she's classically trained, I believe, and really good musician, piano player, and I think she played flute pretty good too. But like, you know, she wasn't shy, as I'm sure it's a shock for me to tell you that. But when we were recording that record and Thorn in My Side, like she coached me what she wanted on certain parts. You know, I embellished a little bit, but I just followed her vibe, her instructions. So just letting you know what happened on that song.
Cool.
Annie was producing more than Dave on that. Me anyway.
That's always interesting, because a lot of people, I think, assume that if it's the music, that it's all Dave, and I don't think that's, and they will say that's not correct, that they
Right.
both have things, but that's interesting that you say that.
Oh, totally what you just said. They were like, I mean, Annie is like totally knew what, you know, she's like, I call her like a little chicken hawk, you know. I know what I want, you know. She wasn't, you know, and they would get into it over all kinds of things. But like as far as music, you know, they're on the same page mostly, but there was, as anything in that kind of artistic thing, she had her vision and he would like defer and vice versa, you know. So she had her hand in it, you know.
Let's finish up Missionary Man. Let's do a quick shout out though to the vocalist on there, because in addition to Jimmy, her name was Jonice, correct?
Jonice
Yeah.
Jameson.
Johnny's Jameson.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw her a couple years ago. I went to Paris and we hung out. It was so good to see her, man. I don't know if you've seen her lately. She has I'm not exaggerating. She looks almost better than she did in 1986. I don't know if she does.
Yeah. She looks
She's
great.
doing great, you know. Go
I
ahead.
have friends in Paris who went to the concert, Dave's concert a couple years ago, and they went there and they thought, oh, it's great, and then they were thinking, oh, Jonice is here because she's a big deal in Paris.
Yeah, she's really
Huge
big all
deal.
over France. And like getting back to that record, man, it was like it always like some kind of like just all the planets were in alignment. We were all there at the same time, and then we went on tour for 3 years around the world together, and that really doesn't happen a lot, you know. All that, you know, usually some people play on the record, but they don't play on the tour, or you know what I mean. Johnny's, man, does she nail that stuff or what? She's such a great singer. I mean, in her own right as a lead singer, but what she did with Annie, you know,
And that was the first.
all those scatting things she did.
I
It's
think
amazing.
this album was the first where there was, you know, as far as I can tell, the first album where there was another female vocalist besides Aretha, or you know, Annie doing her own backup vocals.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because like I know what you're saying, and it's like if you're gonna make that decision, Janice was the one to do it with, man.
Mm-hmm.
She's so good and so cool. And she'd been living in Paris for, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 years. She was really fluent in French. She's from Washington, D.C. She's a D.C. girl, American, but she was like so cool, and you know, and she's still cool. Like I said, I went to Paris with my daughter in 2022, and we hung out and went to her place, and like she came to my place. She helped me rent a place in this really good area of Paris. You know, way better than what the Eurythmics put me up in.
Well, do we have any other closing thoughts on Missionary Man? We all fucking love it, right?
Oh man, it was like
Iconic.
it was like some people call me the Missionary Man, which is kind of funny, but when you get to another song that Stevie Wonder actually played, the original, I'll tell you stories about that. It's called Must Have Been an Angel, which became a real showcase for me. But I'll tell you that story when you want to hear it.
Well, I wish we usually have someone on from New Zealand, Mike. But the interesting thing about Missionary Man that I wanted to mention before we move on to another track was how big it was as a single, or Revenge, Revenge, the album, in Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
And a lot of times, you know, people will say, oh, well, Eurythmics Revenge, and that was them trying to get to the American market. But the Australian and New Zealand markets were absolutely huge for Revenge.
Right.
Yeah, and Missionary Man was the first single in the US and Canada, the fourth single, as you said earlier, in the UK, and it was the second single down under.
Okay.
So it had a really weird kind of, you know, all the record companies were releasing these singles in different order, which was somewhat unusual at the time. But Missionary Man just rocks. So
you know what? Thank you, man. And I think you hit on something that I kind of knew from hearing through the grapevine. The record company, they want, you know, because Eurythmics at that time were really successful in America anyway, and maybe around the world the same way, but they called it techno pop then, I think. But like they wanted to break into the AOR, album oriented rock at that time. I don't even know if that's still a thing, but that's what they were trying to do with Missionary Man. So they released that first in America, and those other markets you're probably saying, because I think Thorn in My Side and When
Tomorrow Comes,
other singles in Europe, but like Missionary Man wasn't. But like you're right, and you know what? it did well. It didn't do as far as a chart thing in America. I think it went to only 12 or top 10 or something, which is, yeah, I'd take that any day. But like, you know, they were going for number one, but like, we did well down under, you know, and Missionary Man and all the things. We played more. I played on a lot of big tours, and most of the times you only play from the new record. You play maybe the single, maybe one other song. We played 4 or 5 songs from Revenge during a 90-minute show, you know. Thorn in My Side, When Tomorrow Comes, Missionary Man, and Miracle of Love. I can't, there's another one, but you know what I mean?
Let's Go.
Really
Was it
strong
Let's
record.
Go?
Let's Go, yeah.
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 I forgot about that one. And that was one of the first ones I played on that record too. I was only supposed to be in Paris for a couple weeks, and I ended up staying 3 years.
Well, ending track 1 of the album, is it safe to say that the best place to get some missionary is down under? All right.
Yeah, because you're backwards. Never
All right. Track 2 of the album, Thorn in My Side. We have the saxophone player right here, correct, Jimmy? You played the sax on that one.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Excellent sax.
What'd you think of that song the first time you heard it?
Let's Go. But not the song. You know what? I can't even remember, to be honest with you. It's just like they said, okay, Jimmy, we need sax on this. So I probably, when I put the headphones on, it's kind of when I heard it. It's just, I know it sounds kind of weird, but sometimes that's just the way it is. You don't get, back then anyway. Nowadays, people will send you a song, and I do most of my stuff. I don't know if you can see, this is my studio here. Can you see all this silly stuff I've done? Anyway, I got a chance to listen to it, say, okay, I'll do this and record it here. When back then, they say, okay, we need some sax or harmonica, flute or whatever on this song. They play it, and then you're hearing it, and you're going figuring out what key it is. You don't really get a chance to do any practice or thinking about it, which is, it's good sometimes, because sometimes when you think about things too much, it becomes another thing.
Right.
Like, and which is not bad. Like in those days, it's like, hey man, it's like off the cuff, because a lot of it off the cuff. Like, and are we doing, what's the name of this one?
Thorn in My Side.
Thorn in My Side. Like
Yeah.
I think I mentioned earlier, real quick, is like Annie came in and she's in the room where I'm recording, and it's rolling, and but she would say, I want you to do this, and she'd sing a line to me, and I'd go like that, and she'd go, yeah, that, do that here, like, but the da 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 da, and that's the way we worked it out, you know. And then I'd embellish a little, but like that's the way we did it, you know, just bit by bit, you know. So it's all on you.
I know there'd been horns on the Sweet Dreams album, but was this the first time there was a saxophone on the Eurythmics album?
I don't know. Because I'm not really.
So.
But I think maybe it was live. They had a great sax player that used to play with Average White Band. Molly, is it Molly Duncan? I think he was in their live band, but I don't know. Maybe you know what? I don't know. I don't know, but I know they didn't have a saxophone harmonica player.
So, does anyone have any thoughts on Thorn in My Side?
I think, to me, when I hear it, it is very reminiscent of like 60s girl group. You know, it has a very like 60s, you know, I mean, it kind of to me, it could be like a companion piece to like Would I Lie to You. It's very like, it just has that sort of, you know, 60s sound to it. And
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'd go with that, man.
I feel like it has a very clean sound with that acoustic guitar. I don't know if we ever really heard acoustic guitar on the Eurythmics album until this song.
Very clean. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all new to me. And it was rocking. Like I said, I thought like they were really kind of going for a little edgier sound on this record than, you know, total synthesizers and things, which of course they used, but it was a little more rocking a bit.
Yeah.
And Clem Burke was a big part of that, I think. You know, he's
So-
a great drummer and
Awesome.
powerful.
Jimmy, you were in the studio with Clem. Were you guys all together the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh,
we all stayed
shit.
in the same hotel. We were all there, and and then we ended up, and Pat Seymour was there, and then Johnny's and me come in, and that was it. That's the Revenge band, Revenge record, and then we're all on together for 3 or 4 years, you know, doing huge shows around, and it became really popular. It was a really pretty big album around the world. I mean, I don't know if you can see, I've got like triple, double platinum records from that.
Hell yeah.
From that,
Wow.
from the Revenge album, and singles, and everywhere we went, like in Scotland, Ireland, and over even America and Europe, different countries. There'd be ceremonies from record companies giving us all these gold and platinum records. It's really
At the
cool.
Hollywood Bowl several times. I guess the 3 nights. You were there 3 nights at the Hollywood Bowl.
I don't
You
know.
don't have to remember, but I remember.
Was I with him?
Well, you guys,
In Berkeley.
don't be shy just because Jimmy's here, you guys. What do you all think of Thorn in My Side?
I love it. It's a great song, but I really like the remix of it too. I mean, because it's totally different than the original song, and it's kind of got that more electronic rhythmics sound from like Sweet Dreams and the Touch album, and it actually reminded me a little bit of what was that outtake? Let's Just Close Our Eyes. It became another album.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right, that's the walk. Yeah.
the wall.
Yes, yeah, kind of reminds me of.
You guys got to send me a link to that. I don't think I've ever heard that version.
Oh,
There's
it's a great-
also-
it's a great mix.
So Mark or Mike would probably interject about now, because from a collector's standpoint, there's one of the rare. As far as I know, it's one of the rarest singles of Thorn in My Side. There's a 12-inch called the Houston Mix, which you can now find it on YouTube, but the vinyl is incredibly hard to find. It's only maybe sold once on Discogs.
Was it made way back then?
So apparently, when it was issued twice, and it was in the same exact sleeve as the 12-inch UK. It had the same, even the same label, but the only difference is on the outgroove in the matrix, there's a different matrix number, and it's a different mix. It's a few minutes. It's like maybe it's 40 seconds shorter, but it's a different mix. And it says, the credits say like recorded in Houston, or remixed in Houston. So it's known as the Houston mix, but like there was one of the sleeves is the exact same, and the only way you've got the different mix is by the label and the matrix. And then in one of the sleeves, they actually overlaid the credits on the back with a sticker.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't really know anyone who has it, and if anyone has it, Mike's got to have it.
Wow.
But I'll find a link to the YouTube.
I'm not aware of those, man. I'd love to hear them, man. And those were from way back in the day in the 80s, right? It wasn't like something recent.
No, that was original from that.
Yeah, because they
time
used
period.
to do those things. Vinyl was still a thing and all that.
All right. Any other thoughts on Thorn in My Side?
Well, just the weird thing about Thorn in My Side, that it wasn't a hit in the U.S., and it still perplexes people, because a lot of people will say it was the most radio friendly. It should have been a huge hit, and it just.
I agree. I think those are record company decisions. RCA, I think it was. I don't know what they were thinking. And plus, the other one, When Tomorrow Comes, is a great single. I think.
Up next.
Nick.
Yes, Nick.
Looking at the liner notes, I noticed that you're also credited with harmonica. So what was the extent of your contributions with harmonica on this song?
On which song is that?
Thorn by My Side.
I'm thinking, I don't know if it's that. They might have made a mistake, and I have to re-listen to it. But like, dun, 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 ba, da, 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 ba, da, dun, 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 dun. What is that? What is that song?
Last time?
Last time.
Last time.
Last time. That's. I know I played. I'm doing that kind of rhythmic harmonica thing on that, but man, you know what? I apologize. I have no memory at all playing on Thorn on My Side, so I'll have to re-listen and I'll get back to you, man.
All right. Any other thoughts on Thorn on My Side? All right. When Tomorrow Comes.
I just put the link for the Houston mix of
Oh, okay.
Thorn on My Side.
Oh, good looking out, Jim. Thank you, man. When Tomorrow Comes, we're talking about?
Yeah, that was like almost a college rock song. Like with those jangly guitars, it was almost like indie in a way. I thought it was a different sound for them.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really cool. And I had no idea. I was just kind of hanging out. I come and they'd always have all my gear at the studio, and I just sometimes wander in late to say, "Hey, what's happening?" And they're going, "Hey, get your sax together." And so I think I only play on the outro, right?
Right.
Kind of going home, and I can still remember that moment playing that, and I went for a high note. It's like a high on the sax is a high E, but a basic concert D, and it's not totally difficult, but not an easy one to hit to nail it on. And I nail it, and I just nail it, and I went for it, and it worked. I got lucky, and I remember that became another song that I've showcased on during the live concert tour we did for the next 2 or 3 years, that I'd get to play showcase, show off a bit, playing that at the as it's going home. They were really, really like generous to let me just play, just Jimmy, play as long as you want, then give us a cue, we'll end it. And it took a few hours, but but like, but that song I remember in the studio, I was like, it was just so cool and easy to play to, just things just kept flowing. It's like I'm kind of like hanging on, my horn is just taking me for a ride,
Great.
I didn't have to think about nothing,
I felt like a lot of the older rhythmic songs were really dark, and these songs kind of had a lighter feel. And this song especially is, I dare say, it's kind of
Very
romantic.
Yeah, When Tomorrow Comes, I
absolutely.
mean, it's kind of positive, in a way, and what she's singing about in the lyrics. I would agree with that, this, and the miracle of love, and, let's go. Hey, come on, I want to fall in love. Is it? Maybe she was in a positive state. I don't know. I cured her of that, though. Just kidding.
I was a senior. I was a senior the year this album came out and this song was released, and during that year they did like a little profile of all the seniors, and you got to pick your song, and this was the song I picked.
When Tomorrow Comes.
Oh,
Yeah, When Tomorrow Comes.
How'd that go down?
Nobody else knew it.
What's the name of this group?
Yeah, well, this was in Macon, Georgia, so the Eurythmics probably weren't that big down there.
I love Macon, man. We played all around. You know what? With that, and I understand what you're saying, man, but like, I gotta admit, I was surprised how like popular they were in places you wouldn't think they'd be popular. Yeah, Eurythmics had a very devoted following, which is great for us.
That's why we're still here 40 years later.
Yeah.
here we are.
You see what I mean? I mean, they're and justifiably so. They're really super. I've been fortunate in my career to work with really talented songwriters, musicians, and not just the ones I tour with, but like I'm playing a lot of records. Eurythmics right up to the top, with Tom Petty, Rod Stewart, Etta James, Annie Lennox. I remember, I worked with Rod Stewart 5 years before Petty and then Eurythmics, and Rod, justifiably so, is like Mick Jagger. Those guys are all over big stages running and singing, and it's not easy, right? To sing after, they're like doing a workout. They ain't got nothing on Annie Lennox. Annie was all over the place. I was like going, look at her. She's all over these big stages. And I'll tell you this, never missed a note. I'm not bullshitting. Never hit a bum note. Never missed a cue. I'm just telling you, straight up, man. She was on it every time. Never missed nothing. That's it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, Mark, I know you're a big fan. What did you think of When Tomorrow Comes?
I love When Tomorrow Comes, and I know that some fans don't. And I think for a lot of people, it was a little too, maybe too poppy after the synth stuff. But I still, when it comes on my stereo or whatever, it makes you feel good. And I do think, it was the first single in England. It got to 30, didn't do great. And I wonder, after, the previous album with There Must Be an Angel getting to #1, I've always sort of thought that, maybe the idea was it was a romantic song. The record company may have thought, let's start it off with this. But Jimmy, you were in a great video. The video for it is it's not a concept video. I think it's almost a plug for that giant tour that you all went on, because it shows you're all there in your black outfits that you wore on the tour. But I think it's still a favorite of Annie's. She performs it in her solo stuff from time to time.
That's good to hear.
Great song. But I mean, what do some of the other people on here think about When Tomorrow Comes?
See, when it first came out, it wasn't one of my favorites because, like I said, I was like a tortured synth kid. But these days, I do enjoy it. I like a little romance.
I liked
it a
it.
lot, but I played it to death. So over the years I've gotten to love it again, but I played the shit out of it when it was new. I was 10.
He's sick of it now.
Sorry, but I did.
It's all right, man.
I loved it. I love it still. I mean, I when it starts and it takes me away. I love it.
So
yeah, that big crash at the beginning.
Then I feel like that there are some Eurythmics fans who don't like it, and
yeah, it's probably too much of a, like someone said, a poppy song, and maybe just too much like a conventional pop rock song, as opposed to what they're used to Eurythmics being, that kind of dark, whatever they did. You know what I mean? Like da da da. It's like it's an up song. But when you listen to her lyrics, it kind of goes deep. When it settles into the
it has
verse.
great. I love the lyrics. Yeah.
So
it's her. As far as lyrics, man, she's one of the best.
Yeah.
I would say.
Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot. You never heard this song before. Don't be shy.
So I definitely like this song more than the first two songs on the album. It makes sense that it was issued as a single in the UK and pretty much everywhere else, but it wasn't issued at all in the United States. I'm pretty sure we only got Thorn in My Side and Missionary Man, actually, as the only two American singles. They completely overlooked this, and I actually find the poppy aesthetic to the song to be a benefit to it. I think that it suits their abilities very well, and based on their other work, I think it's probably amongst their best. I definitely like some of their popular songs in comparison to some of their other material. Right By Your Side being another, which also features the saxophone, a sax, actually.
That's right.
So I think that may have been their first use of a saxophone in any capacity.
There you go. I think that was Molly Duncan. From AWB.
So Nick,
I would agree with what you just said. Sorry to interrupt, but
no.
Go for it.
I think the record company missed. I agree with you. They missed they should have released that. Not that they shouldn't done Missionary Man, but Thorn in My Side, I think, could have been a big hit in America. not Thorn in My Side, but When Tomorrow Comes. I think it would have been good. You know, who knows what they're thinking.
It never made
It's
sense.
giving us a view as a first-time listener to a lot of this, so it's really great to get
Yeah.
opinions on things. You
We
know,
missed you last time, Nick.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on When Tomorrow Comes? All right. The next song. This is the song that when I first played the album, you know, I heard that synthesizer come in. Then Jimmy, you come in on the harmonica. The last time, this might be my favorite fucking song on the album. I love this song. I think this could have been a hit. Annie's vocal performance is, you can tell she's really feeling whatever she's singing about here.
Oh man, she's pissed off.
Yeah, she's pissed off. You have that little bridge where it gets even darker just for a little bit. But, dude, you were in the studio when they did this fucking song. What do you guys think of the last time?
Love it. It was a song that I definitely listened to obsessively when it came out, and it's a song that if ever I'm like gonna listen to like 10 Eurythmics songs, this is definitely one of them.
Wow, cool.
And I like Dave's. You know, this is where Dave steps out and starts singing.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a little bit of. Yeah.
This time you're gonna let me down.
I think I'm more obsessed with it now than I was.
With me. Bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I had to do that so long.
So can I ask you, like, when recording a song like this one, how long did it take? Did it take days, weeks? You know, were they writing the lyrics on the fly? Did they have the music first?
You know what?
Any song you can.
Here's the way it went down. But when I came in, they had been in, I think, Cologne, Germany, with a Connie. I can't remember.
Connie Plank.
Yeah, and they're on a train on the way to Paris to do overdubs, finish up the record, and they weren't happy with, I guess, a lady saxophone player. Okay, I'm gonna tell him myself. This is the story I heard from Dave. They said, yeah. They weren't happy with what was going down, what she was doing. They said, well, he goes, well, I know this guy in LA, he plays sax and harmonica, but he's kind of crazy. And here we are.
Here we are!
Again, I was going, I don't understand where you guys are coming from. I was a little bit crazy back then. But anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, how the song came about.
And just like
I wasn't there for the basics recordings in Germany, so I think they had the song going. So they give it to me, and I hear it, and I think I heard what I heard. I'm kind of like doing a low harmonica, but like goes with the bum, and Dave liked it, and it seemed to work with the song. I think we did loop it, but I played it all the way through at first, you know, which is not that it's very difficult, but sometimes when you're doing what you think is a simple part, just to keep it up in time with drum machines, because I don't think, even though Clem's playing with it, it's mechanical. It's not like breathing like with other musicians. It's a little bit kind of wonky, but I did it, you know, and they seem to like it.
And I feel like having that harmonica, the way it's produced in this song, how it kind of intermeshes with the synthesizer, kind of points to where they've been and where they're going. So this is the song that I really loved because I feel like it's, you know, I loved hearing that synthesizer in there. But it's still very much like Revenge era.
No, it's like, you know, it's like kind of like it's set up on a thing to keep playing. And then you put like an acoustic, you know, there's reeds in this, so it's like it's alive, you know, and that key was that would be in D, so a G harmonica is fairly low. This is an E flat. This is a key for Missionary Man. Compared to G, it's higher sounding, so that when you hear that harmonica on last time, it's low, like dun, 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 and it's really good for doing a rhythmic thing, which basically I'm not solo, I'm just doing a rhythmic part. and I think Dave came up with a good idea, but I showed him how to do it.
Well, do we have any other thoughts on the last time from the panel?
I just
Great
think
song.
that the last time was, I think, is a fan favorite that people think should have been a single.
I do.
If other people think that.
Yes.
I would go with that, man.
Yep.
I mean, there was a few on that record, but there's that. I would go with that. That's definitely one. There's something about
Great.
it. And when Annie's singing that, she's telling you something.
I was just a pretty thing. It's like, oh, shit.
That's last time you're gonna fool around with me.
Yeah.
Don't mess with her, man.
Yeah.
Nick, what did you think of the last time?
So there appears to be some sort of cool effect on the guitar. It sounds like a tremolo, and that drew my attention quite a bit. For me, it's actually the highlight. Otherwise, the song is somewhat conventional. I do like the synth bass quite a bit too, though.
All right. Well, we have one song left on side one. We're slowing things down. The Miracle of Love. I feel like the keyboard reminds me a tiny bit of Julia, that kind of like harpsichord-y kind of thing. This is a song at the time when I was a kid, I didn't love it. I thought it was a little too like AOR ballad, but being 50 now, 50 fucking years old.
You old mother.
Baby. Baby.
When I was listening to this today, I got a little tear in my eye. I'm like, we need the miracle of love in our fucking life. So I fucking love it now.
I kind of feel the same. I mean, when I heard it on the album, I went to the which they say live reference something at the Roxy, and it was actually out in Reseda, the country club. I don't think you did Miracle
I
of Love.
remember that gig. That
Yeah,
was
I
a
went to
warm-up
that.
gig. And we only did like 4 songs or 5
Yeah.
songs, right? Yeah.
But I remember Miracle of Love, and I thought, oh, okay. And then when you see this in person, I defy you not to it just gets you.
I bet it's powerful. It's
It's
powerful.
a powerful song, and it's one of those that I mean, what a message, what everything. I mean, it's something to go back to.
It almost, to me, that when I was trying to recollect the track listing of the album, it almost seems like to me this could have been like the closer to the album,
No.
because it had that same
agree
kind of majesty as like Brand New Day, or there were certain like closers to albums that just have this sort of like, like a very emotional, like, poignant, but also very kind of majestic closing to a record. But it's the closing it's the closing to the first side, which is then oddly followed up by Let's Go. It's kind of like you go from soft and pretty to like,
let's rock.
raunch.
Raunchy, yeah.
And Dave,
Hey guys, I gotta ask you a question.
What?
Am I on the? Did I play baritone sax on that in the record? Because I can't remember, but I did live.
I think you did, yeah.
I think I played Barry on it, but I just can't remember. Sorry.
On The Miracle of Love?
Yeah.
On the record.
I'm looking at the credits on the 12-inch, and it just says vocals, guitars, and vocals are Dave, Patrick Seymour, Clem Burke, bass is John McKenzie, so John
was
Babin,
the engineer.
synthesizer noises, Gully, orchestral arrangement by Mike.
Gully was a roadie.
So you're on the B side, which is the live version of When Tomorrow Comes, which is from the Roxy, the rough and tough
The Roxy show.
the warm up gig, yeah.
But what? Did I? But in the Roxy, did I play baritone on Miracle of Love then?
What's on the?
I think she was talking about earlier about the
Rough and Tough
Reseda
of the
show.
Roxy doesn't have. They only published it with 4 songs on the commercial release. Did you play it at that gig?
I when we were live, and those were early shows. I might have started then or started later, but I don't know if I played on the record baritone, but I did during like the live concerts and the live album.
There's
and the live concert thing we did in Sydney. I'm pretty sure I played baritone on it then, but I'm not sure if I played it in Paris on the record.
It's not. There's no sax or harmonica on the record.
I don't think I did. Yeah. But I love playing it because I kind of basically hit whole notes, but it's a really cool song. And with a baritone to hit those low notes to go with it, it's like me and Annie and Dave, we were going, oh yeah, that works, you know.
This is another example of Annie really digging deep with the lyrics too. I mean,
oh yeah,
this is some heavy shit.
And the way she sings,
beautiful song.
To me,
you know,
it's not just romantic love. I mean, I've revisited this after I lost my parents and stuff. I mean, you know, getting through stuff. I mean, we have to get through all these stuffs as we get older.
I would go with that.
And it's just, I mean, last time I saw Annie and Dave sang this live, it was a crazy thing. I went to London for the last 3 concerts of the Peace Tour in December of 1999.
Wow.
And they sang that, and literally 3 weeks later, my mother died.
Oh.
And then like 7 weeks later, my father died. So I revisited these songs and stuff and so much of Eurythmics music.
I would go with that totally, man. It crosses all types of love.
Yeah.
Their stuff, you know.
I had another question. Are there any bits that you may have recorded that didn't get used, or were there certain songs that you were maybe on and then they rejigged the song or anything that you can remember?
Oh, they use all my stuff, man.
But you were right. Dave would say you're done.
You're done, bitch.
Yeah, you're done. Easy now, killer. You know what? I don't know, man. I've forgotten if I did, but like all that I remember, like even though I remember playing live Miracle Love, but I'm thinking even this after like 40 or more years later. I don't remember playing baritone on Miracle Love when we did it, or even like having a chance to play on it. So as far as stuff that they didn't use, I'm sure there's something. But like I can't remember right offhand, man. But I was fortunate, and most of the stuff I did, it's on the record, or unfortunately, it's on the record.
All fortunate.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm just saying sometimes you're going, oh, they could have left that off. No.
What's interesting
I got lucky on that one. I got lucky on that record. It was I'm okay with it, you know.
This is the only album.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll do John then Lynn.
This is the only album they put out that doesn't have non-album B-sides. All the B-sides are either live versions or, you know, there's live versions or remix.
Which album's that?
This is the Revenge album, has no non-album B-sides. So there was no extraneous tracks that were not used but put out. You know, their first.
You mean when it was a 45? The
B-side? 45 or 12-inch. There's no non-album.
What would it be on the B-side?
They put all the live versions and then some remixes across
what if it was the new that we just recorded Revenge, so we hadn't done any tour?
Like
it was old live songs or something.
No, they did. So the singles all have the B-sides that on the singles are all the ones from the Roxy warm-up gig. They spread them out over.
Oh,
but just as
I had no idea.
From the collector's angle, this is the one record where they didn't put any tracks that, you know, B-side tracks that were studio B-sides.
Wow.
You know?
I have, you know, I'm so not. I'm
the
so
12-inch for.
I had no idea that was the case of. Wow, man! So like, the stuff from the Roxy or Reseda and everything are out there, and I had no idea.
Yeah. They spread them out across at least on the import records, not on the domestic.
This is when 45s were a real thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. The 12-inch single for Miracle of Love has a really great B-side of Who's That Girl, which is an acoustic version that they did on a radio show in 86.
That was pretty cool what they used to do. You know,
they did. There was a radio show called Rockline that was a call-in show for fans, and I remember dialing
Oh,
over and over and over until I could get through. But the version of "Who's That Girl" on the flip side of this single is like one of the best. It's
I
so
bet, man. I remember it. Now it's bringing back memories of like bum bum bum. You know, when they get into it, we used to all take a break then and smoke a joint and stuff, and Annie and Dave would just be in front of thousands of people doing it like that, like you're saying, acoustic, and it was awesome. They nailed it.
But we should mention that, and of course you're right, that is on the B side of the Miracle of Love 12-inch, that the acoustic version from that radio show, but the acoustic version from the concert, from the Revenge tour, this is very important. And I talked to Dave about this once in an interview. That's 3 years before Bon Jovi performed acoustically on the MTV Awards or whatever it was, and set in motion the years-long, acoustic,
all the unplugged,
all that stuff.
The
MTV.
It's very important to note that Eurythmics were doing acoustic long time before everyone else, and they don't get credit for it. And when they Who's That Girl in the Revenge tour concert acoustically and on that rock line that John mentioned, they again were ahead of the times, and they don't get credit for it.
Good point, man.
There's also
that was 86.
Amazing that acoustic Who's That Girl.
The CD single from We Tour One of "You Place a Chill in My Heart." They put the version of "Missionary Man" with the steel guitar.
Oh God,
which is like one of the best live versions of that song.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
hey, Lynn, did you have something you wanted to add?
But just kidding.
I don't think I do remember what I was going to say. Today I had lunch with my niece, who's like my daughter, but she's 47. So just a child, but I was saying, the harmonica, Jimmy Z from Revenge is going to hopefully come onto the podcast. And remember him from Missionary Man? Oh, is he the one who plays the harmonica in the beginning? So my 47-year-old niece thinks you're cool.
Oh, what?
Just a pup.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Miracle of Love, Nick?
So that was just pumping you up there.
Oh, thank you, doll. That's my best, your niece.
I will. She'll watch this.
All right, Nick, the floor is yours.
So I was doing a little bit of research beforehand, didn't have too many opportunities or too much time, I should say, to do so, but I was looking through a Melody Maker interview and they had some very positive remarks on this song, calling it, I think they said it was perhaps their best song to date. I think it might be a little bit lofty in terms of the commentary there. It's a fine enough song, maybe a little bit too saccharine, but I'm also a sucker for soft rock music. Phonogenics, one of my favorite bands. They probably are my favorite band. So I think that it suits it pretty well. Obviously, Annie sounds wonderful on the song, but certainly fine enough, more than sufficient. I like it.
All right. Well, let's flip over to side 2 of the record. We know we have some harmonica on this one. Let's go. It's time to fall in love. Woohoo. Well, I have nothing to say about this song because I'm desperate and still searching. But anyone else in love? Anyone else having better luck?
It doesn't say I found love. I want to fall in.
Okay, well, let's go. Somebody, let's go. Text me back. What do you guys think of this song?
It's not all it's cracked up to be, so don't worry.
Loved it. It's another song I played over and over and over and over and over again, and still love it.
I mean, the Revenge band is in full effect here because you have Jimmy playing the harmonica. We have Janice doing some vocals here. I always felt like side 1 and side 2 kind of, because I feel like the band from Missionary Man is kind of in full effect on the first song on side 2. And then, you end with the slow. So I feel like side 1 and side 2 like mirror each other a little bit. Great melody. Annie sounds like she's having a good time. She's on the hunt. She's thirsty for some love, aren't we all, honey?
Yeah, let's go to Mexico and all that.
Yeah,
You know?
let's go to Mexico. I'll settle for Brandon, Florida right now. But anybody,
Oh, the Gulf of America. Just kidding.
the Gulf of America.
Trust me, I'm not behind that. Just to make things clear, folks.
Oh my God.
What a load of crap. Huh? Sorry.
Oh,
No, I agree with you, Jeremy. This is a great song, and it's very it's very upbeat and kind of rocking like Missionary Man, but it's kind of fun and happy though too. It's talking about having a good time. Wanting to have a good time,
Oh
and
yeah, it's up rock song for sure.
I feel like the Eurythmics had a lot of confidence on this album because the last album had it had Aretha, it had Stevie, it had Elvis Costello, and this time, they're not bringing in the big cameos. They have a really organic band, and I think it holds up right to that level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're bringing in the unknowns.
Who became known though?
I have a question. Do you know why, just out of curiosity, why did they decide to record this record in Connie's studio? Which, I mean, I love Connie playing because I'm a huge Can and Kraftwerk fan and stuff. But it seems it's such a pop rock album that it's not something you would expect to hear coming out of his studio.
Is that question from me?
Well, just since you were kind of there.
I would just say it from my point of view, and I met Connie after. I had no idea who he was before, but then I learned like what you just mentioned, a few things, and his notoriety for what he did, and what. If you think about it, the Eurythmics were kind of known for what you just mentioned, like being a little off kilter, like not like this. What we're talking about, this record is more like a fucking a rock and roll pop rock type record compared to their other stuff, or being a little off kilter. And like Connie Mac, I think they were like maybe I'm speculating right here. I think they went in, and I wasn't there. They went in to do whatever they're going to do on this Revenge album. Don't even know it was called Revenge yet, but like it became what it became with Connie. And they had relationship with him for a few years before. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
I don't know if they recorded with them all the time there, but they knew him and he knew them, and because he came out on tour with this woman in Europe, and I got to know
cool.
a little bit, having a beer at the pub and stuff, and I think they felt comfortable with him, and he's kind of Connie, and they're the Eurythmics, so come in the studio. There's going to be a good vibe no matter what they do. So I think that's what I don't think just because they went there, they're going to do something that he is good at or they're good at. They just want to do whatever came up, and that's what happened.
Could it be? I mean, while you were talking, I was thinking, at the point when Revenge came out, I mean, Eurythmics had hit this certain pinnacle, and then they went kind of and recorded this at Connie's because they could kind of have their privacy, there and be able to create and stuff and be kind of removed from the whole.
That's a great point. What was it? Is it in Cologne?
Cologne, yeah.
I think Cologne, yeah.
There's a really
I
good.
think you got a good point there, because for artists that like you say, the Eurythmics, they couldn't walk down the street in England or LA or anywhere else, but maybe in Cologne it would be like whatever. I don't know how they live, but I've been in Cologne, and I've been to that studio and toured and hung there. Not that it's some tiny village, but like it just seemed to work for them, and that's where they did it. And
well, it was comforting to them as well, because that's kind of where they went.
Reminds me of when Led Zeppelin recorded Into the Outdoor, and didn't they use ABBA's recording studio?
What is that, in Sweden?
Yeah, I think so. So you never know where albums are
it's like, and sometimes you want to go out to the pubs, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you don't want to be recognized, sometimes you do, you don't care. You never know. But I've never been that and probably never be that kind of famous or rich. But like I've been around in groups with really famous people, and sometimes I take the money, but the fame you can leave that because it can be a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? It's like you're just trying to have a conversation like we're doing, and people are coming up. And they mean well and everything, but they want to talk to you. They want to have an autograph and everything. And after a while, after the 50th, 75th time, you know, it's a drag. You know, these people have no privacy, like you said.
I mean, I don't even want to run into someone I do know at the fucking grocery store.
They told me about you because you ain't paying. You got to pay your bill, man.
See, I think that's true about. I think we don't realize how anonymity is a gift. I've been around famous people besides
There you
Jim,
go.
but
There you
I
go.
went to I knew Robin Williams. We were in acting class. He was a few years ahead of me before he became famous, and
Right.
he said, "I wish." And this is when he came back to something at our college to say, you know, we're like, "Oh God, Robin, how is it?" And he said, "I just wish I had known the point of when I was going to cross and losing total anonymity."
Right.
Yeah. That's
you know,
pretty
it's
much
very.
it.
I mean, it's very poignant when you think about Robin. That was just something that, you know, to lose it.
Sure. No, you hit it
It's a
on the
gift.
head, man. You know.
All right.
So
You
as
can
far
make a
as
fool
like
of yourself, and it's not on the cover of, you know, everything.
yeah, and getting back to like I think the original thing was what they did in Germany. I wasn't there. All I can tell you is when I came in, they just kind of got to Paris and they're looking for something, and they sent for me and Phil. So careful what you wish for.
Well, do we have any other thoughts on Let's Go?
Oh, I'll tell you just one thing briefly. Like again, I never knew. I never really heard the song, and they're just going, just go for it. And should I go for it? You know, because sometimes I want to be careful not to step over maybe someone else's part, Dave's or Annie singing. As you can see, I wasn't shy. Not to say that. That's it.
All right. Well, the next. Oh, Nick. Yeah, finish it off.
All right, so this song structurally it's pretty simple. I was listening to it and it's pretty much just alternating between the 5 and the 1. I think kind of an A and a D. A little bit basic, but it's certainly fine enough. It's worthwhile to have a high energy song in the middle of the album to ensure that it doesn't lose its pacing, and I think it fulfills that purpose.
All right.
I'll take all the credit.
There you go.
Well, we are moving on to Take Your Pain Away. I'll be honest, when the album came out, I thought the song was kind of filler. It's still not my favorite song, but I don't skip it.
I agree with you completely. It is kind of a filler track, but it's great. It still sounds good.
It's got a good bass. I feel like this song would have been synthesizer based on one of their older albums, but it's showcasing the band sound on this album. I like where it goes from minor to major key. At least I think.
I was friend back in the day where we all had friends from across the country, and I had a friend in Arkansas, and she loved "Take Your Pain Away." And the thing is, and it was a B-side to "Missionary Man" in the U.S. It was early, so it was just another track. But she was so devastated because she said finally Eurythmics had made something that you could dance to. That was her thought. And she said she was devastated that it was a B-side because she thought for sure it was going to be a single. And to her part, that, you know, it was a song that you could dance to. I've always liked the song. I think it's one of their better songs on the album. But it was interesting that the two of you have so far said, well, not the best kind of, but we're in her mind. And so it's always so fascinating to me, you know, how we all have different takes on different songs for what it is. But I always remembered that she thought it was it was a song I could go dance to.
Can I ask a question? Because in my memory, which is not great, I thought it was kind of like not a fast song. Is it an up tempo song?
Yeah,
It
pretty
is,
high
yeah.
BPM.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
my bad.
got a good
Man.
driving
Maybe I'm
bass
thinking
line.
of a different song.
Um,
I don't think
if-
I played. I don't think I played on this.
No, I don't think you played on this one, Jimmy.
No.
Take your pain away.
isn't
Oh man, I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah.
isn't this song Annie wrote it about her one of her parents who passed at the same around that time? From what I remember, it was.
I think you might be onto something because when I was with them and we were kind of like still recording the album, but we had to go to Montreux, and it wasn't the Montreux Jazz Festival, but in the same place, the Montreux Pop Festival they called it.
Okay.
And you would you would play to some backing tracks, but me and David didn't want to. We insisted on amplifiers, but I remember one of the songs was something about Annie's father dying. I think it was her father had died within that time frame during the making of Revenge. So you might be. I think you might be onto something there.
Well, let's ask the fresh ears. Nick, what did you think of this one?
So the thing that stood out to me were the digital tambourines, very percussive. I think they were panned both to the left and right channels, so they're very much present in the mix. The bass line certainly does elevate the song quite a bit. I think the point about it perhaps being a synth bass had it been recorded earlier, for example, during Sweet Dreams. I mean, obviously we can't confirm that for sure, but
Right.
It's very likely. And I am not negative on the song. I think it's probably in the upper echelon on this album. There aren't really many low points on it, but this is probably maybe top 5 on the album, I would say. It's decent enough, top 4.
I always put this one. I always feel like this is the sister or brother to Put the Blame on Me from Savage. Like the second song on side 2, that is kind of filler, but I kind of like it. Well, any other thoughts on this song?
I like it.
All right, now we're moving on. The third song on side 1 is my favorite song on side 1, and the third song on side 2 is my favorite song on side 2. A Little of You. I love this fucking song. A little of you, a little, like, once again, Annie's just like tearing into the, and any time you tried to hurt me. Like, she's feeling this one. I love the chorus. What do you guys think of this song?
I feel like it's a little bit filler, but still a good song.
I liked this song. It kind of actually reminded me a little bit of "Put a Little Love in Your Heart" that you did with Al Green. It kind of has that same vibe to it.
I like the tremolo guitar that Dave puts later on in the song. It kind of adds a little tinge of sadness to there. This is where the title of the album, they say revenge can be so sweet, in the fade out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which harkens back to the lyric from Revenge at the end of In the Garden.
Right.
That's the thing. There's so many like kind of little connections between lyrics, personnel. You have Clem, who was on the first album and on this album. It's so interesting to me that they couldn't be phonically different albums.
Right.
But they really kind of drew some sort of connection between the two.
It's interesting because I feel like this album does have a much clearer, crisper sound. And when you think of the other last few Eurythmics albums, they have really distorted, like fuzzy album covers. And the album cover really reflects like it's more light, it's clear. So it's interesting how the cover art reflects the album. Any other thoughts on A Little of You?
And to me, because I'm in this town, as I've said before, I really had depression problems at this period of my life. So this one really spoke to me, the whole thing. And so I thought I'd written it.
Oh.
It really spoke to me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't plan this.
Feels like Sunday every day. Yeah.
I would just say one thing about what you just mentioned about the cover art. There was an artist hanging out with us then, and I can't remember his name. He did, it's taken from that photo session that you're seeing behind you, the Revenge, photography cover, but he painted that one you're seeing there, and it was like, wow, that's really cool because it came kind of at the last minute, and they decided to use that,
I think it's perfect.
It's
I wish I could remember his name because he was in the entourage then at the time. But
Eric Scott.
yeah, Eric. That's right. Eric, yeah, is he British? I don't remember.
So.
But anyway, I thought he caught a really good, cool element in that painting. Myself, anyway.
Does anyone else? Was Eric from Dave's hometown as well? Isn't there some connection there? Does anybody else know?
I don't know, but I had a memory that he was from Great Britain somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, your hand is up.
You're correct, it is. So that the intro keyboards, super tacky, but in a very endearing way. I love them so much. It's kind of similar in a way to the keyboard sounds that Christy McVie used around Behind the Mask.
Yeah.
Was
Like
it Pat Seymour on keys?
Yeah.
I would need to look at the liner notes to confirm that, but it's certainly within the realm of possibilities.
I think it was. I see.
I need to know.
Must have been, yes. I think
Okay,
they're the only
perfect, 'cause
keyboards.
when I see him again, I'm going to say, man, you know what? You were described as perfectly tacky. Because he needs to hear that. He's a pompous ass. No, just kidding.
So I have a question for you. Well, I'm sure anyone who saw the Revenge tour probably remembers, and I think we forgot to mention this during, I think it was Let's Go. That was at the point in the concert where Annie came out in her bra.
No, what I lie to you.
Would I lie to you?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, with the red. It was red, right?
The red bra, or yeah. So.
You're okay. I'll own up. I bought it for her.
No,
just kidding.
Did you?
I mean, that was kind of, I think for both fans and the general public, in many ways, that was, it was kind of surprising. You didn't really expect it from her.
I got a quick question. Is that like, you wouldn't think that would be something Annie Lennox would do at that point in her career, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that
she was the gender kind of.
Yeah, it's like that comes kind of sexist, whatever. But she said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do this," and it was like calculated. She did it every night after a while,
So
that was another first thing, because didn't she do that before Madonna? Madonna didn't start wearing her bra on stage
Probably.
until,
Was she before Madonna
Like a
wearing the
prayer.
bra? Yeah.
well, if they asked Annie Lennox what size it was, she'd say it's a Z cup.
Ah!
Oh.
I ain't touching that.
All right,
That was bad. That was bad.
moving on.
It wasn't me.
This is what the Patreon subscribers are paying for. Okay, in this town, I always thought like this song had kind of a "What I Lied to You" beat, that, but a little bit harder. I really like the pre-chorus. It's because it kind of goes from like a standard rock song to something a little bit more melancholy, and I have a sad heart, so I like that. What'd you guys think of this one?
Not one of my favorites. I listened to it today, and the lyrics were really sad to me.
Yeah.
It kind of hit me today when I was like, man, this is like, it sounds like they're almost like looking back on like their lives were like destroyed by fame or something.
It's a lot darker than you remember, right? Because I thought of it, I kind of thought it was almost a throwaway. But then when I was listening today, I'm like, oh shit. So this album, I almost like it more now than even back then, some of the songs. It's aged really well.
There's no throwaways with Annie and Dave.
Yeah, there's not.
The opening lyric of "I could be anywhere else but here, but the rain won't let me go, but I could be anywhere else but here."
Yeah.
It's just really.
I think it's a very mature song, and it's one of those songs that just what you all were saying. I think as you live your life, you can come back to a lot of these songs that maybe as a teenager they didn't hit you necessarily, but they hit you in a different way, because I think it's a very mature song.
Yeah.
literally in that sense. Because I don't think it hit me as a teenager. It didn't, but it is one of the better songs on that album, I think.
Well,
when you go back to it, I think it could easily be a song on Peace. I think it's got that kind of vibe to it.
I mean, looking back, I was freaking 11 years old when this album came out, so I don't think I even had the experience to understand this song. You know what I mean? Like, all I heard is the guitar.
I hope not.
Yeah, but now, like, listening back, I'm like, oh, whoa, shit.
I think it's cool that, you know, you have the album which was like pushed to be AOR, and like, you know, you had big, you know, sounding singles, you know, but underneath it all, there still was that sort of, you know, sense of sort of, you know, at least lyric wise, and sort of
deep.
There's this sort of a little bit of despair, a little bit of, you know, melancholy,
A little angst.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and especially
deep
on
Annie, you know, Annie goes deep, man.
Yeah,
and she connects with all of us. Like, even if it doesn't happen at a certain age, it can happen. It's timeless in a way. Annie is timeless. When you listen to it and you've lived through your experiences, whatever your life, what's happened, it can connect with. That's
totally
the way I look at it with Annie. Annie's deep. She can make me cry sometimes on stage, you know, when she sings it and when she's written, you know.
Nick, what did you think of this one?
There we go. So keep in mind, wasn't familiar with this album, so when I heard the applause at the beginning of this track, I was curious if I had already hit a bonus track on the album, because it's a little bit difficult to tell. But no, they just added it in as an effect, and other bands have done in the past. Tears for Fears on the song Year of the Knife, that comes to mind as one example. I think they did it also on I Believe. And I'm curious on what you think of the effect of inserting applause into a studio recording. Do you support it? Do you think it's a little tacky?
I think it's whatever they want to do.
Well, I always thought it made him think of it more of a live band song. Like, I don't know. It just kind of framed it as more of a live song to me, even though it wasn't.
The applause was distracting for me. The applause sound is distracting. You know, it kind of takes me away from the song.
to me, it's such a quiet song, but it has so much power to it. It's interesting that it starts with the applause at the beginning, but it made me listen to it kind of more intently.
I don't think it works well on this particular song, but in Year of the Knife and most famously Benny and the Jets by Elton John, those work perfectly as live. Because this isn't like a rock and jam song. This is more of just like a sad, reflective piece that would almost benefit from like trippy, like forest sound effects or something, you know, like mellow, instead of like that you're like at a rock concert and then,
right.
and then like, we're going to bring down the mood.
Yeah, I feel like I almost would have understood the song more as a youngster had this applause not been there, because then it was kind of setting up to be not the song it was. It almost, I don't know, it has some of the, to me, it reminds me of like a melancholy of like a Smith song almost, like just that small town. I don't know. Well, any other thoughts on In This Town?
All I can say is, like, I ain't on it, but what you're all talking about is totally Dave Stewart.
No.
Fucking with you all. As simple as that, man. Oh, it should be like this. I'm going to throw it at him like this. That's Dave Stewart, man, in my
We
mind.
love Dave, so
That's it.
I ain't saying you shouldn't love him. I'm just saying.
no, I know.
So if Dave's watching this, he'll be like, "You motherfuckers,
like
I got you
what
guys."
he does. And I think you're all on point. Like, well, that was a silly, stupid thing to do, whatever, with the applause, but like, that's kind of the method of his madness. He'll do stuff that you're going, oh man, why did he do that? Anyway, that's my take. I may be totally wrong, but like, I know he does stuff like that just to fuck with people. Not you, of course.
Of course.
Not me. No, at this point, he was just he was on MTV. The two of them were on MTV just constantly. Because I remember watching MTV.
Oh, you mean their
just
videos
any
and
sound bites from this,
yeah.
You
mean at that time all their videos
Yeah,
were on MTV? Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like
very
in
conscious of
high
where they were
rotation
and who
for
they
sure.
were.
Was this song on MTV though? I don't
No,
think so, right?
No.
what I said meant nothing.
Never, darling.
Thank you, my friend.
Well, the album ends with a melancholy song. Oh, we were so young. We didn't realize what we've done. This is a really pretty song. It's another song. It sounds a little upbeat, but it's really sad. I remember you. You were the backyard boy. What was it that they did that they were too young to do? I'm not really sure, you guys.
Falling in love.
I don't know, but they sound like they regretted it.
Yeah, they sound like they regretted it.
I thought about, like, especially the verse about the backyard boy. Maybe think about, maybe it was somebody they bullied or something. Being a kid who was bullied in elementary school because of weight and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that verse right there just immediately clicked with me, thinking, I wonder if the people who bullied me 40 years later or 50 years later look back at that and think, I really was kind of a dick back then. And that's kind of what this song is says to me. But yeah, you're right. It's very sad, very melancholy, but in the same sense, beautiful.
See, I'm such a hoe. I thought it was about her losing her virginity.
Oh, I didn't get that.
In the backyard.
I thought Backyard Boy, as an American, I thought, and there's no Brit here to tell me, I thought Backyard Boy might be the British equivalent of The Boy Next Door. That's what I thought is then. I remember you were the boy next door. You were the backyard boy. So that's how I interpreted it.
And then we came behind.
And then you've got the broken windows where the wind blows through. Empty shells of houses have turned to ruin. To me, that sounds like a Smith song.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, like, industrial Manchester post-war, England.
Well, and
which very much could have been, for being Aberdeen, it could have been her experience. Like, I don't know how badly Scotland was hit, but, like, so much of London was devastated, during World War II. There were ruins still up through the 60s, 70s, and 80s and stuff.
But
on the subject
also,
of
John, during that time, that was when the strikes were going on?
Yeah.
I mean, in the 80s. I was just thinking in the 80s, too. There was a lot going on politically at that point.
Yeah. I mean, she's sort of blending, the experience of some, young adult or teenage experience along with sort of juxtaposing, concepts of, ruin. And it's a very, like, it's one of my favorite songs on the record.
Me too.
I kind of compare it to, mood wise to, like, Better to Have Lost in Love off of Be Yourself Tonight.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about Miracle of Love being the closing track, but I kind of feel like this is the perfect closing track for this album. Any thoughts on that? Do you guys think that they should have been swapped, or do you like the way it is?
I think it's a great track to end. I mean, if they had ended it with The Miracle of Love, that would have made total sense as well. But that it does end on I Remember You, and those sort of nostalgic lyrics, I think it works well. I think there is social commentary from Annie Lennox on this, as she does, kind of as a worldview. So, and she does locked in with that, like when the day goes down,
right?
We two are one. But but I listened to this song to death. I mean, when the album was out, I listened to this over and over and over and over. Probably a little too much. I don't listen to it a lot today. But this album, it was on all the time.
Man, what a great year for albums. Because, like, We had Parade, Prince, True Blue, Revenge. Jimmy, was there a little sax in I Remember You? I feel like there's some sax flourishes in there.
Oh, yeah.
Which song was this?
I Remember You.
Have no recollection.
I don't remember I Remember You.
The story of my life.
Nick, what did you think of this one?
You know what, man? I gotta be honest, man. I haven't listened to it in a long time, and I have no memory of this song at all. Can you play it? You have it handy?
It's the one, oh, we were so young, we didn't realize.
Oh, I never played on that.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
much better by Annie Lennox.
I mean, 86. Let's do the math. I don't know. I played on a couple things in the last week.
9 years.
9 years ago, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I might have played on it. Sometimes you do things and then you go on. And if it's great, you go, oh, yeah, that was me. And if it's like, so you're going, I don't know who that was. But is there sax on it? Really?
Just a tiny bit, I feel like.
Because, like, that's, you were saying something earlier in one of the segments, like, for a guy like me, we're like, we come in last. They've already done, and they're searching for something like.
You are on it. You did play sax.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Was I
You
wonderful?
need to go listen to it again. It's a wonderful song.
It is a wonderful song.
So what happened? Thank you. So I'm going to just be honest with you. For the things that I do I get these. I'll just tell you a quick thing. I get these residuals. Thank you. And there would be like this whole list of artists I played with and how much money I wait here. I'm going, whoa, and there'll be some unknown person. I have no idea who they are, and sometimes there's a lot of money next to that thing, and then there'll be Ricky Martin, Cher, and all these people, and I have no recollection ever playing on Ricky Martin's record or Cher, and it's not bad, but it ain't like this, or Feargal Sharkey.
Remember
Feargal
Cher.
Sharkey. I'd never heard of Feargal Sharkey, with all due respect to the Irish people and everybody. God bless you, Feargal, because whatever I played on, and Dave was producing him, I still make a lot of money off that guy, off that whatever I played on. But like, the point I guess I'm getting at is like, not to be like.
Was it A Good Heart? Was the song called A Good Heart? It was written by Maria McKee.
I don't remember. I guess that kind of goes to the point I'm trying to make. Is I can't remember, even if it was like last week. I don't remember what I played. Because sometimes we go and we play on it, and we don't even know what the title is. And sometimes the artist, they might have a working title, but then they change it from the time I played on it to like the time it comes out. I just don't know. That's my excuse anyway. But
well, I guess me and Jimmy have something in common because I don't remember half the things I've blown on either.
Oh my God.
That's not the rumor I heard.
Nick!
Not bad.
Nick was.
You bastard.
Jimmy, if you're ever in Florida, we're going to get in trouble. That's all there is to it.
Hey, man, you guys can get a hold of me anytime. Give me my email, anything you guys need to talk or ask questions. I had a total good time with you.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime,
It's
guys.
so great to have. Thank you so much. I mean, you really made this so special for us.
I have one question.
Thank you.
I have one too. I'll ask after.
Yeah.
Okay.
John, then Nick.
On the back page of the tour book for Revenge, it says, "The Revenge Band expect album soon."
Oh.
And there's a picture of the four of you guys, you and Clem and Chucho and Patrick.
Oh, Chucho in there?
Yeah, but it said expect album soon. What was that about?
Well, I think I cured them of me before the next album. Now I got a record deal for, I think, was Savage the next record?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my own record deal then, and I was going that direction, in '88, I believe it was, and whatever, leave it at that. And I was doing my own thing, and so I didn't go with Eurythmics then, but that was that. But I just want to say real quickly, we forgot to mention Chucho, because Chucho came to Paris. He was playing with the Pretenders at the time. And, there's a really great album that I really loved then. You remember in 86 that was like...
Get Close.
Oh, God, yeah.
Great.
That's a great fucking album right there.
Thank you, man. And like Chucho...
Don't Get Me Wrong.
And he was... Yeah, Don't Get Me Wrong. Man, just a killer record. A lot of those... The cuts that weren't singles. There was just... To me, it was a great record. So anyway, they needed a bass player because... Phil Chin didn't work out for some reason. And Chucho comes over. And me and him, we just hit it off, I don't know why, but we just hit it off. And like, he came and he played on some cuts. And then no one talks about him. We forgot. Chucho was a big part of Eurythmics. And he's a big part of my life. There's a group called Caifanes, supergroup from Mexico. And then...
They're huge.
When they got a hold of me, they're called Jaguares, the Jaguars, Jaguares. And I was playing with Etta James then. I played with Etta James, 12, 13 years in a lot of records. And I was just coming back from a part of a tour, and I get a call to come play with the Jaguares. And Chucho's the bass player. Chucho is a Colombian, but he used to live in London and was musical director for Pete Townsend. He was playing with what's the lead singer of Pretenders?
Chrissy Hind.
Chrissy Hind and Annie were good pals.
Yeah.
But Annie asking Chucho to come to play on Revenge, and then he stayed with us. It was a big rift between... I'm giving you some inside info here.
Oh, a little tea.
Big rift between Chrissy and Annie for years. The years I was with them, they didn't. Annie. I know Annie felt bad, but like she wasn't going to give Chucho back. It was Chucho's decision, but how people think, hey, you stole my bass player, and it's like that, man. It's like, whoa, man, this is some serious stuff, man. Some bad juju going on here. And Chucho was in the middle of it, man. I said, hey, Chuch, man. What's up, man? He goes, I do what I want, man. I said, fair enough. I mean, but like, man, Don't Get Me Wrong. Remember that record? It was so good.
Oh, it's a great song. Yeah.
That whole album is good.
The whole album, man.
The first song, My Baby.
Anyway, Chucho, we should have mentioned him. And hey, Chuch, you fuck. If you see this, I mentioned you. Because me and Chuch, it was a love-hate relationship. I remember one time I'm sorry for going on, but we were in Japan, and it was like a big party for Eurythmics, but like a big room, and catered and everything, and he was like 30, maybe 40 meters away from, now let's say feet, like 30 meters or minimum, and there was this pastry cart next to me. And I could see him over there, and I picked up one of these cakes. And you got to remember, I got commando training from the Rod Stewart group, so we used to do things that are not socially acceptable. So I pick up this cake, and I look and I judge it, and what are the odds? I go like this, and I hurl this piece of cake, and he happens to go like this, and it goes whack. I mean, it was you couldn't plan this better, and it hits it, and there's so many people, it's a crowded place. I'm going, oh my god, I'm hiding, and he goes, Z Zavala, he didn't know where it came from, but he knew it was me who did it. I'm going, oh fuck, and I'll just end this real quick. It went further, but finally, he locates me in this crowded party, and I'm going, Chuch. He goes, motherfucker, and he had a piece of cake or some pie or something in his hand, and I go, Chuch, and he throws it, and I duck, and there's this beautiful Japanese couple behind me in their best dressed outfits, and he nails them both. He misses me, and he's going, he's horrified. I'm going, sorry, Chooch, gotta go. And he's going, and he's apologizing. These people trying to clean their suits. He didn't talk to me for almost over a decade until he called me for the Jaguares gig. And then we toured the world in Mexico, in America.
Listen,
forgiveness is a great thing.
Forgiveness is a great thing.
It is.
Nick,
I'm in forgiveness.
Nick, you had some closing remarks. What were they?
Well, it's more so a question. So I was going through some of your credits, and I saw that you actually played on a few Weird Al albums, Dare to Be Stupid, Weird Al in 3D, and I was curious if you had any memories from those sessions for any of those albums in particular.
Yes, I do. And I just played with them recently on one of their latest records, but the first one, I had no idea who Weird Al was at all. I'm thinking, I get called to do this session, and I'm hearing these. I was so stoked because the producer was he played with Edgar Winter, with this famous guitar player,
Rick Derringer.
Right?
Derringer. And I'm thinking, because sax player that I am, Edgar Winter, all Johnny Winter. I'm going, oh man, so I'm practicing sax. I'm going, wow, I'm going to work with Rick Derringer, and I get in there, and it's.
Oh shit.
And he pulls me aside before I play the first song. He goes, Jimmy, and I have no idea. I don't think any of the world didn't even know who Weird Al was at this moment. And he goes, look, this is not your usual record. Like, don't worry, man, whatever you need. I'm going like, and the first song I played is like, I don't know if you remember that it was a big cartoon when I grew up. It was called George.
Oh yeah, yep.
I love that.
Da, watch out for the tree. I'm going, what the fuck? I got headphones on. I'm going, and he's going like this. Sorry, like I'm going, what's wrong? So that's that. And I'll tell you what was going through my mind at that time. I'm going, I really got to work on getting a solo deal. They're getting record deals to anyone. I swear to God. And then whatever we did on that record, and I can't remember which song it was, but like Weird Al became a sensation. And he got bigger and bigger, and they kept calling me, and it's like, here we are, man. Weird Al, like, yeah. How many records? Did I play in 3 albums or so?
I believe so, yes.
Dare to Be Stupid's a great fucking album. That's my favorite Weird Al album. Dare to Be Stupid.
Was I on that one too? Dare to Be
Stupid? You are on that one. Are you playing on it?
Talk to these people. They owe me money.
No. Pay up, bitch.
Just for this night alone.
Weird Al was my first.
Any other question? Weird Al was cool. Weird Al was a very cool guy. The guys in the band are really a great band. Great musicians. I mean, great guys. I can't say it enough. And Weird Al was down to earth, funny guy. It's not just his act when you see it. He's funny when you're just hanging. He's got a good sense of humor and down to earth. That's pretty much it that's the best I could say about anybody, I suppose, but he's a cool guy.
All right, well, we're going to do 2 things before we wrap up. 2 things. First, we had to rank Revenge on a scale of 1 to 10. Nick, I'm putting you on the spot first, since you're the first. You heard this for the first time recently.
Oh, wow, you're putting me on the spot?
Putting you on the spot.
The first review? All right, so I probably think that this is a step down from some of their other albums. It's still serviceable. I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. A little bit low. It's fine enough. A little bit generic. Dip in quality. It's fine enough.
All right.
I'll take all the blame.
Oh! Mark Stevens.
Oh, this is difficult. I think side 1 is exceptional, and I'm not saying this just because Jimmy Z is in the room, but Missionary Man is iconic, and it's a huge, important song in the Eurythmics catalog, and I love side 1. I think the only thing with Revenge is that I think the idea was that they wanted to create a rock sound that on purpose, a live sounding album. And I think they did it a little too well almost, that as it goes through side 2, I think sometimes it plays a little one note, in the sense that up until that point, Eurythmics albums, all the songs on the albums even sounded so different. And I think Revenge is a little, that it has a cohesive sound, but it's not exactly what you expected from them. And it is so different from their other albums. I still would give it a 9 because I think it's an exceptional album. She sounds great on it. The music's great. The musicians are great. I just don't, because if you'll remember, I gave Be Yourself Tonight a 10 because I thought it was the album that had solidified them as an important group of a pop group. So I'm going to give it a 9.
When you think about the 80s, though, so many bands that were huge in 84 did not make it to 86.
Absolutely.
So it was so important that they did this album, that it did well.
Right. Yep.
If they would have done a synth album, we wouldn't even be having this discussion probably right now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. They changed everything all the time. And it's exactly why you can still talk about them 40 years later. Anyway, go ahead. Someone else.
I want to make a Thompson Twins joke right now, but I won't. Okay, all right.
I don't remember them.
G. Jeffrey Dicker.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I really do love like every song really, but I feel like, as I said earlier, sometimes Eurythmics suffer from, they have so many great songs like Missionary Man, Love Is a Stranger, that when there's something that isn't as good, it's not because it's bad, it's just because it's so hard to capture the magic of another Missionary Man and another Love Is a Stranger. Right. So I'm giving it a 7 because I feel like starting with Take Your Pain Away, it really fizzles as far as, I mean, again, you can't compare Missionary Man to every song, but that song is so freaking good that everything else kind of pales in comparison.
All right, David Pratt, you're a little quiet, but I know you're observing and having a good time. But I am having
a good time.
Spotlight is on you, my friend.
Okay, before I have one question for Jimmy, because I too was looking up like your what you've done, and I see something related that you played with Shakespeare's sister.
No shit.
And I'm thinking maybe that happened because of Dave, because wasn't he dating?
Yeah, were they married? Maybe
they were married. He was married.
And I'm wondering what song, because I love Shakespeare's sister.
Oh man, you got.
Oh, you might not remember.
Hey man, guys, I don't mean to. I just noticed I'm at 5%, and I don't want to lose.
Oh.
No. Just let me go grab something to plug in.
Oh, okay.
Don't just carry on. And as far as I can answer real quick, you know what? I remember recording. It was at Dave's house, his place at that time in Encino. Dylan recorded. I think the Traveling Wilburys started there. They should have. I was there too playing tennis, but they didn't. I don't know why they didn't take me with them. But anyway, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a plug. Carry on, ladies.
Okay,
fellas. I'll be right back.
Okay, so I will do my ranking or right. So based on like side 1 solely, because back in the day when I was listening to that album, I don't even think I really got to side 2 very much because side 1 was so packed, that when I listen to the album again, now, like I think I just wouldn't play side 2. So it's really based off of side 1, although I have listened to side 2 now. And I did back then, but probably like once or twice, seriously, because I like side 1 so much. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.5 based off of side 1. But I like side 2. I don't know, but yeah, 7.5.
David, if we ever do a Shakespeare sister Phonogenics, I hope you'll join me.
Of course I will.
Because my favorite album by her is 3. That one she did after Marcello Love. I love that album. Okay, Lynn.
So for me, I'm more Jimmy's age. I was 30 when this came out. And as I said, when, before Jimmy came on, I played this as I drove on Mulholland Drive. It was part of my experience that summer. And I saw this concert in Berkeley, and I think John was there too, right? Yeah, at the Greek Theater, and I saw it at the Greek Theater in Hollywood,
I was there.
Hollywood Hills. I think I'm going to give it a 10, especially because Jimmy's here. I loved it. I really did. It gives me a lot of joy. As I said, I had a lot of I had good times and bad. I was an actor and trying to write and show business and blah, 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 blah. And I really enjoyed this album. It gave me a lot of joy. It gave me the second side where people are like, oh, it was cathartic for me. So I'm choked up, but I would give it a 10.
Oh
my gosh. Love it.
John.
Yeah.
Tim.
If you had asked me in 86 what I thought, I would have probably given it around a 7. But listening to it more recently, I really appreciate it more. And I appreciate, I was listening to the 2018 vinyl remaster, and just like, I sonically, like, it's a great album. The production is, top notch. So I mean, now I would probably go like a strong 8.9, almost 9.
Shit.
And also because it was kind of a pivotal, not just the album, but also like the whole thing around the album. The tour was very pivotal for me. I mean, I flew out at the age of 16 to Berkeley to see the 2 nights.
Greek Theater.
Greek.
Yep.
Do you remember?
It's a Greek theater.
Did you go both nights?
Of course, man. They couldn't fire me. Oh, they could have.
The night 2, I was like second row, and at one point, Dave stopped they stopped the show because someone had called a bomb threat in.
Yeah.
That was the night I was there. Yeah.
It was so bizarre because all of a sudden it just got really quiet. Like,
Yeah.
Andy and Dave were like chit chatting, and they looked really concerned. And I think like it was almost like a 10 or 15-minute pause. And he just
we broke for a bit. You're right. Not to interrupt real quick. We broke and we didn't know if we were going to finish it, and then we came back on.
Right. And so every time I described that experience, I mean, I don't remember ever hearing like what the whole bomb threat was about. It was just some kind of student thing or whatever. But, after about 15 minutes, they came back and Dave said, well, like, you're welcome to leave or you can stay. We're going to continue. And they played Here Comes the Rain Again like it was their last time ever playing it. It was
deep. It was deep. I remember that, man.
What a story.
Crazy. You were there, man.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's where I grew up, Northern California, Sacramento, and a lot of relatives in San Francisco and Oakland and Berkeley. So I had a lot of people there too, my family and stuff. So it was pretty deep. I remember that.
Cool.
All right. Well, Jim.
I'm gonna have to go with Lynn, and this one's gonna be a 10.
10?
It's like I said before, this is one of my top 5 Eurythmics albums, and this album, it is different. Like Mark said, it's different because it is more cohesive. It is more of I don't know, not a planned out sound, but concept maybe. A little bit of a concept album maybe. But this album came out at a real interesting point in my life too. So like every one of these songs is attached to something that was going on in my life at that time period. And so, I mean, there's not a bad song on there for me because of those memories, and majority of them are good ones. So that's, it's got to be 10. Right up there with 1984 and In the Garden.
Well, Thinking about this album, you think of like the big albums like Sweet Dreams, Touch, but damned if I don't go to my CD collection and grab the CD and play it just as much, if not more, than those albums. It's just one of those understated albums. Throughout the years, you might not think of it as top of the, but you grab it and listen to it. I know every song on this album, every note. I've listened to it so many times. I give it a 10. I give this album 10 stars.
Yay!
Excellent. Very good.
Well,
Y'all don't know what you're fucking talking about.
well, Jimmy,
I'm fucking with
Harmonica
it.
guy sucked though.
Yeah, that guy's useless, man. He sucks a lot. But can I just say one thing that one of you said? I'm sorry, I can't remember who said it, but I'll just tell you my perspective of it because y'all are so cool, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that you are fans from record to record to record, which I'm not. I didn't know, and even after. But I will tell you this, from my perspective, a lot of people up to that point didn't know what a motherfucker Dave Stewart is as a guitar player.
right?
Not just as like coming up with parts and chord things, but as a soloist. He did solos and you know, I'm gonna name drop here, but not brag. But like I played with Jeff Beck, I played with some of the best guitar players in the world in studio and on tour. Dave, I would tell people, hey, Dave Stewart, you know, Mike Campbell, one of my favorite guitar players with Tom Petty.
Mhm.
They would all say Dave Stewart is a motherfucker, and he proved it on that tour. If you look at those live things we did at Wembley Stadium for the Nelson Mandela thing and the live record, you know, and stuff. Dave Stewart really, as a producer, there's no question, you know, he's like up here, but like as just a guitarist, solo and stuff, I think he showed what he's all about. From my take, I'll just leave it at that. You know, I can't talk
Amazing.
about like you guys
It's
do his
amazing.
records, but as a musician and other guitarists saying it, real known guitarists, Dave proved himself, and that period.
We brought that up at the last
I said this. Oh,
thing we
sorry.
did. Well, no, I was just saying, I think Mark or John or Nathan Jeffrey said the exact same thing in the last podcast, that a lot of people don't understand what a talented guitarist and musician Dave Stewart is.
He's a real deal.
When I met my husband, and he was back in the day before when he had records. He was one of these people who, you know, he had everything set up, and so he could play. And he said, "Oh, well, we were talking about guitars," and said, "Well, Dave Stewart is like amazing." I'm like, "Yep, you're the guy from." I mean, I just, yeah.
Well,
So.
Jimmy, would you be willing to take us out with one more song?
Out of the question.
This has been. I just want to thank you for sharing your soul with us. What a fucking great time, Mark and Lynn.
So great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. Seriously, and hopefully send me a link, because some of my people I just noticed on the phone they couldn't get into the interview or the thing we just did. So anyway, if you can send me a link to that they can look at it later, that'd be great. But you guys, you can all get in touch with me anytime through my email.
I want to hug you again in person.
I know. And Jimmy, I apologize. I saw people trying to join, and I didn't know that. I thought they were just. Sometimes weird people come on Zoom, so I didn't realize it. So apologies.
Oh man, I should have told you.
Oh no.
All right.
You did ask though, Jeremy.
Yeah,
you
they
did.
didn't think
One of
you were
them
worthy.
did ask.
I will post it online tonight, though, and all hail to fucking Jimmy Z.
Thank
Here
you,
we
Jimmy.
go,
fucking
man.
best.
Thank you, Jeremy and Mark.
Oh my God, the live performance.
Here we go.
was
Some
just
traveling
wonderful.
music, folks.
I
Oh my God.
love you all. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Wow.
So fun.
You know what? This year fucking sucks, and this night was the best night of the year so far. So,
And I love Savage, you guys.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me, man.
all right, much love to you all. I'll get this online tonight.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.